Hey everybody, welcome to In Depth, episode number 9. We continue to march forward every single week. We're not missing a beat. This is, this is going to be a lot of fun today. We have a very fun topic.
Again.
So okay, I think that still last week, for instance, we did Cyril and his amazing ZVT, and that was really great. That was one of my favorite episodes that we've done so far. I believe it was a week before that we did all the GSL players against Immortal Pushes,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
And those replays were just slightly dated, some of them. And we did our
was
best.
more to the initial emergence of Immortal Century, so
Yeah, it was the very
yeah,
initial.
it's kind of hard to
emergence.
see how the Zergs are reacting that early on,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's the first real responses, and then they kind of become more and more refined. So
Mhm.
at this point, they've had enough time to have that thought in the back of their mind that, hey, this is a big possibility.
Yeah.
I need to be ready and I need to deal with it. So this should be a little bit more refined from the Zerg players, in theory.
Yeah, yeah, and so with that last episode, we started to dive into the things that we think would be helpful, what seemed to work, what seemed to not work, and of course we have this WCS Europe replay pack, right? So, oh, don't look, you don't look at this screen, okay?
Okay.
Because I've got this. We're gonna give Jake a little quiz to start
Okay.
here on his thoughts, because I went through this morning. See, okay, you can look now. See, that's the episode folder right there.
Okay.
Europe vs. Immortals. Okay, so here's what I did. Okay, I went through every single game of Protoss vs. Zerg from the
Okay.
knockout bracket round of 6, group stage 3, and the entire round of 24 and up bracket. Okay?
Okay.
This gave us a total of 47 PVZs to look at.
That's a lot of PVZs.
That is a lot of PVZs. Obviously, we're not going to look at all of them. We are going to look at some Immortal versus Zerg games. So we had 47. I'm going to ask you a few questions here. On your perception, right? Because this
Okay.
is kind of the build that everyone's talking about right now. The last episode got a lot of people riled up, even though we were as fair and just as any two humans could ever be. First off, okay, 47 maps of PVZ.
Yeah.
Take a guess. How many
many were
games do you
Immortal
think
Century?
were Immortal Century pushes? And by the way, I want to go ahead and clarify exactly what I mean by Immortal Century, right?
Like a
You can't make a balanced
designated
comp.
attack.
It's like you're making a robo first, okay? Because as soon as the robo isn't first, you can't call it the robo the Immortal Century push, because there isn't a balanced army that Protoss can make against Zerg without Immortals in it. So every game would be an Immortal
Sure.
push. So we're not calling those Immortal pushes. We're calling robo first an Immortal push, and the vast majority of the games, when they attack the first time, they're looking for a victory.
Okay.
There are a couple games that I actually chose out for us that are not exactly necessarily looking for a victory, but
Right.
you'll
Sure,
see.
sure.
Anyways, Immortal pushes, robo first Immortal pushes.
I think
Out of 47 maps, how many do you think we had?
less than 50%.
Less than 50%.
I think it's hard to say because I don't study Europe as much as if this was Korea, I think I'd have a much better number.
Okay.
But I think it's probably less than 50%.
Less than 50%. Okay. Do you think they have a winning or losing
Winning
record?
for sure.
Okay. Do you
Got it.
think it is the most popular Protoss vs. Zerg build in this 47 game sample?
What's that?
Do you think it's the most popular opening in the 47 game sample?
Robo first?
Yes.
That's a tough one. I feel like it's probably close to 50-50 again. Still,
Close to 50-50.
like
with,
Stargates and Robos.
oh, Stargate openers and Robo
I would think half and half. I don't think it's a majority, but I think there's a good representation. Definitely a sample size.
Okay. Okay. And sorry, the win percentage? What would you guess?
A
It
high-
is?
I would say higher than 70%.
Higher than 70%?
70%, somewhere around there.
Okay. Okay.
That's what I guess.
Yeah,
these are my guesses.
These are very interesting guesses, and I would have guessed something similar. I didn't come up with these questions until I saw the patterns all start to emerge. And
I feel like if this was Korea, I'd be able to say it way more decisively.
well,
Because there's less matches and less players. I know the players more.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? For example, if we've got classic stat zest and all these patients and all these people, I can guess the percentage of them that are going to do Immortals, the percentage of them are probably going to fuck it up, and the percentage of them that aren't. You
Yep.
know? But when it comes to all these random matches of, like you said, there's 47 ZVPs.
yeah.
And we're basically
That's
shooting
a lot of
in the
games.
dark here.
And the thing is, the reason why I cut it at knockout round 6 which is the last knockout round, and Group Stage 3 is because eventually you get low enough that it's not even what we're looking for. You know, these are basically all name players. There won't be a player in here you don't know that you.
I mean, I'm excited to see what my predictions come out to.
Are you ready?
Statistics. Oh,
I got a stats page for us to look at.
I'm ready.
You might be surprised.
I feel like I am. That's why you're quizzing me. You know, if it was like,
well,
if it was really basic. Like, you got
well,
everything
the thing
right,
is, I wasn't sure exactly what you were going to guess. I would have guessed probably somewhere close to what you guessed.
I think I made pretty safe guesses.
Yeah.
Maybe the 70%
I see a lot of
was
people in
bit.
there. Well, not a lot of people, but some people in the chat.
29 out of 43.
Let's look. Okay.
Oh, here
47 games. We had 21 Stargate openers and only 7 Robo First Immortal openers.
21 Stargate openers. That sounds kind of what I was thinking it would be. Like I said, less than 50%, right?
Out of 47.
Like I said, less than 50% would be Immortal Pushes, and I thought the majority would be Stargate. But like I said,
well, you said that Stargate and Immortal might be 50-50. Like
right,
same amount.
This
is 3 times as much as that.
Yeah, I meant more like on the Stargate side.
Okay.
Like all the other variations are just non-Stargates to me. I've got the Stargate openers and I've got the non-Stargate openers. And that's what I thought the 50-50 would be.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's pretty close. That's
like it's
close.
hard to say the Immortal specific all-ins because there's so many other random stuff they throw in.
Yeah.
And some people just build a Robo and then just like take a third. You know?
Yes, no, that's true.
Do we count that as an Immortal Push too? You know?
I actually I put in all 7 games for us to look at, and 2 of them are that, which are interesting builds as well, which we will go over.
But that's interesting that there's more Ling Rush / offensive hatcheries than Robo First Immortal Pushes.
Right? Isn't this? I thought that was
funny.
a very interesting thing because that's something as well is when there was like a lot of aggression from Zerg earlier on. There was like one game I think like that where there was an Immortal Push follow up. And there was one that was almost aggressive that had an Immortal Push or an Immortal as a defense or something. But anyways, those ones I'm not really counting as much because when you get into a weird all-in position or something, the Zerg gets behind. The finish off I don't care about.
This is very interesting. It seems like if we had pulled the same region, like we pulled Korea, it would be like 70-80% Robo openers.
I think it actually would be. I was very surprised about this, to be honest. Like
yeah, I thought it would be more.
Stargate.
I thought it would be way higher at Robo. I did think the Stargates would still be like half and half, but I did think Robo Pushes would be higher. Like even DT Archon drops are very not that common right now, and they're almost the same as Robo Pushes. So yeah. And Twilight First is not that surprising. I think I feel like that's a pretty good representation of like maybe a Glaive all-in or a Charge all-in or something like a couple games. They
were all. I believe that all of them were Glaive builds, but all of them weren't all in. It was.
Not all
the
in?
Twilight openers? Yeah, no, these were interesting. I didn't get to super watch them because I was going through 47 replays this morning. But the Twilight openers were, it was like Hearthstone and Goblin. Goblins were all in, and then Hearthstone had a very interesting, neat
that sounds very
build that maybe we'll do on in-depth at some point.
Yeah, not going all in with a Twilight First is quite interesting.
It was like pretty aggressive, but like there was a transition.
As a Zerg, as soon as you see a Twilight opener, you're like, this guy's all-inning me. Like you're not like, this guy's going to take a third. You're like,
totally.
Nah, he's going Charge, he's going DT, he's going something like really all-in or whatever it may be.
But yeah, I find it very interesting that we talk about we basically the whole scene talks about Immortal Pushes are imbalanced.
Yes,
sure. all this stuff. Now maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but these are like when you say something like that, you're not actually you're backing it up with emotion. Okay, it's kind of like an anecdote. You're telling the story of your ladder experience, of your games, of what you perceive to be skill, what you perceive to be imbalance.
Right.
Here I'm giving actual stats where out of 47 games we had professional foreigner Protosses choose to do Immortal all-ins 7 times, and 2 of them aren't really all-ins that we're going to see.
Risky says that the reason maybe because the Stargate is safer in this type of tournament. A lot of group stages you're generally going to see safer play than later in the tournament. Kind of agree and kind of disagree.
Group stage 3. Okay, so everything was elimination. Every single match I did was elimination except for group stage 3.
Right.
So that kind of foils your point there. Now, yes, Stargate openers are generally considered safer.
I actually don't even feel that to some extent. Like, when going Robo first, if you, for example, do you remember that there was a GSL game where, was it, somebody opened Robo first and, like, didn't scout the roaches at all. Like, they just, like, showed up. He built a Prism first, and then he built an Immortal, and still almost held that, right? Like, imagine you scout that, you can just chrono an Immortal. It's, like, 1,000,000 times better than basically anything at dealing with, like, pushes. Also, they're insane against like Niduses and stuff. I don't know. I think it's arguable. I do think Stargate is way better against like Ling Floods and stuff like that.
Yeah, for
But
sure. Well, the thing is, people are very comfortable with Stargates as well. It's just, this is an interesting thing. This is a factual thing I'm showing on the screen right now. So whatever people want to say about the balance issues, here are some facts before your eyes as to what pros chose to do at the most important tournament of the year thus far. Okay, also, I do want to point out the other thing that gets mentioned as imbalance quite often, Cannon Rush. We saw 3 of them. Only 3.
Did they have a 100% win rate?
No, they did not.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
That would have been my prediction. You would have asked how many Cannon Rushes won. I would have said 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
It was not 100%. Only one of them I watched the whole game of because it was so... Haas has a new Cannon Rush that's really weird, man.
Wow.
Buildings everywhere. You have no idea.
We have to do a Haas episode.
We will absolutely have a Haas episode at some point. So here, those are your stats right there. Okay, a couple fun facts here. Lambo got Immortal Rushed the most.
Really?
Yeah, 3 games for him.
Maybe that's because they feel less confident in like playing him out or something.
Maybe.
That's kind of
I mean,
interesting.
it could be. I mean, Lambo is definitely pretty loud about not liking the push. But
Well,
I just found that to be a little bit interesting.
That's interesting when you couple it with the results in the early stages, right? Like the group stage. Like, because he got eliminated in the group stage, didn't he? And he had to play the
No. He
knockout
lost
bracket?
to Cyril. Yeah, he did have to play a knockout bracket game.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
he got eliminated by Protosses in that group stage.
So
and they were Protosses I would consider much worse than Lambo, rather.
okay. Well, no, you can look now. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to show the replays that we actually have to go over here. These are all of the Immortal Push games
Ooh, this
from
is already
that stage of
interesting.
the bracket
first
to
game?
later.
Just the names alone are really interesting.
Yeah,
to me.
right. So we will do it by player. Okay, so what you see here is Goblin did a lot of it.
Yep.
He did it twice
He did
against
twice
Lambo,
against Lambo.
and then he did it once against Raynor. Okay,
That's funny.
Rotterdam's right. This kid's good. And then we have Probe did 2. His are the games that are a little bit different with third bases. Okay. So these were actually those are kind of interesting ones that we'll look at as a group. One against Lambo again. These are Robo first Immortal openers, and then one against Namshar. Neeb did one against a laser. Cloudy did one against SortOf.
Okay. Well,
So-
maybe we should couple them into like the aggressive people and the people that are more expandy or something like that.
Yeah, why don't we take a look at the probe ones first? Because
Sure.
these are the ones that are very different from the other ones.
I'm excited that it's against Lambo.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but he seems like the kind of guy who'd be like, well, you need exactly this many drones, then you can hold it kind of thing. But it's really hard, you know?
He, I can't remember which games. I should have marked here which games were won and lost. I remember some, like Neeb's beat a laser. Goblins lost to Raynor. I think Goblin went 1-1
don't
against
tell me.
Lambo.
I'm curious. Maybe you can ask me a prediction beforehand.
Okay, well.
Well, I guess some of the results I already know. Like Pro vs. Lambo, I have to imagine this game's a win. Because I believe he took him out in the group stage.
The Lambo took out Probe? Or?
No, Probe took out Lambo.
Oh, okay.
So if he loses game 1, that would be really impressive.
All right.
All right, let's watch. Let's jump in. We don't need to worry about the
Yeah,
predictions.
the win rate people are asking for.
Yeah.
The overall win rate
Is it like 5?
for it was 5-2.
Oh, that was like perfect then, right? I said 70%.
That's not 70%, but it's
It's pretty fucking close.
it's decent.
It's pretty
a
fucking
decent
close.
prediction. It's a decent prediction.
5 out of 7. Nice.
Yeah, 5 out of 7.
I'm gonna take that
victories.
as a solid
one
prediction.
win and 1 loss is Probe's version, which isn't as aggressive, or it doesn't have to be as aggressive. Okay. Anyways, I think I've given
That's
enough
pretty high.
statistics and stuff. I think that this is going to be really fun to see what the Europeans do compared to the Koreans, and we're going to have a third.
You don't like putting these up?
Oh no, never.
Really?
Yeah. What, you put that up?
Yeah,
What do you
some
want?
of the
You
pro
want wrist
gamers said
prop?
it's like closer to your hands or something.
That is the
I'm
that is the who said it? That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. It's closer to your hands if you put the little.
I want to
he's
say it was.
talking about.
I want to say it was Sasha.
He's talking about these little things on the back of the keyboard. Okay, hold on.
What?
Right? That
Yeah,
it
these
makes it
things.
closer to your hands.
Yeah, 'cause,
no,
like-
because
like
your
you-
hands are on the keyboard.
Yeah, but
so the keyboard could be over there.
your
It could be over
fingers
here.
travel less to them, right? Like
No!
if they're down, then you gotta.
No, that doesn't make sense at all. That doesn't make sense
The
at all.
F keys are closer. Someone said the F keys are closer. That's
no,
a good point.
they are not.
That's a great
They
point.
are not. It's not true. You guys need to get some rulers and some measurement equipment and figure this out. Anyways, we'll put them up for you, Jake, but it does not make it closer. Okay.
Well, it goes up, so it's gotta go somewhere.
That is crazy. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Anyways, 1 and 1 of the 5 and 2 were probes play.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I agree. Probe's not that good. Good point there.
He plays a different style of Immortal Pushes, of course, what I'm saying here.
Yeah, he's Australian. He's less tiered, right? That's what you're saying? Subpar?
That's what I'm saying. Me and Nathanius hate probe.
All right, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, we can go pretty fast with it. So
I mean, this is a pretty short replay. 8 minutes and 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna carry
A lot of these replays are pretty short. Let me turn on the AC in here. It's getting a little bit hot.
The weather's pretty crazy outside. Did you see that?
Yeah, no, it's raining.
Yeah,
Quite a bit.
This is a nice room for weather watching.
I have a lot of windows. Okay.
Okay, so
there comes the Immortal.
This is already kind of interesting. Opening Adept first, I find, is kind of an interesting choice when you go Robo.
But you can. I think most people actually go Adept Sentry Stalker, don't they?
When they go Robo.
Yeah.
I think Stalker first is pretty good.
I think that's good too.
Like the point of the Stalker,
yeah.
like for example, this. I guess this Overlord's not going to go in yet, but.
I think you're just trying to get your hallucination
when you go the Stalker first, it's really suspicious. Like you're trying to hide something, right?
Yeah.
So
it's less
and
suspicious
also
to make the Adept first as well.
Yeah, it is. But also the Stalker's really good for like defense. Like if you put a Stalker on a wall, it's never being baneling busted.
Yeah.
So maybe if you're playing someone like me, you build a Stalker first, because the Adept you don't really need if you're going Sentry anyways. You get the hallucination up no matter what.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I think it masks what you're doing slightly.
Going Adept first.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you see an Adept, you're like, oh, this could be anything. I do want to point out, and this is something that I noticed throughout, because, again, I went through 47 replays this morning. A lot of people were talking about when we were suggesting maybe, well, I think it was more me suggesting about possibly getting Overlord speed.
Yeah.
And you were saying it was a bit
It's
expensive. A
fucking
lot of the
terrible,
pros
is
were
what I
saying
said.
it was a bit expensive. Let me not say most, but I would say at least half the games.
Overlord speed?
We saw a lot of Overlord speed games out of those 47. I
weird.
didn't write down the stats. I didn't have enough time to write down every stat for everything. But
I wonder why.
There's a lot. Why? Because everyone's Immortal pushing and you want to scout it.
If you scout an Immortal, I think I said this before. If you scout an Immortal push with Overlord speed, you're probably just gonna die to it.
Well,
there was
a lot of Overlord speed. And
if you scout like a Dark Shrine, then sure, like that's cool. But if you scout an Immortal Sentry, you're like, well, that's nice. I couldn't have scouted this any other way, but you really can,
Anyways, we can go forward.
Let's see what he comes up with.
Yeah. So, I do want to mention about that Overlord speed because people were saying no.
Like,
look at how
long you have to wait, anyways, right? Like we're waiting for
43 seconds.
Yeah. Like normally we'd be sending these in around 3:30. I guess he's gonna probably come in around then too. Anyways. Oh, he's got 2 Overlords too.
Look at that. Look at that. It finishes actually right at the time that you normally go in.
Yeah. So he scouts the Robo.
So well timed.
Couldn't he have just sent the Overlord in? Like
he could have.
Yeah. I don't know. This is fine, I guess.
But I guess you're more likely to keep things alive.
That
was his mismaker there.
100 gas. Where's his lair now? It's actually not terrible, I guess, if you Overlord speed. For example, your lair's delayed, you can't get an upgrade, but I guess you probably don't need those things to defend an Immortal Push anyways, right?
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. I think that a lot of people are starting to use Lambo
and it's nice to not just die to like something like a Charge Lot All In or Dark Shrine or whatever it may be. So I can see the value in it, but at the same time, it is resources invested in and it might be harder. Like if Probe takes the 3rd base, this might be kind of bad, right?
What Lambo's doing?
Yeah, because you're cutting a bit of your tech.
You are?
For that Overlord speed. It's okay if they push you, because you really don't care. You're just holding the push and you live.
Yeah.
But if they do like the kind of limped version where they're like, oh, I'm moving out with like this tiny little army that literally is not scary at all.
Yeah.
And take a 3rd behind it, and you're like, well, I don't have a lair now. I don't have +1. And you'll see his lair and +1 will probably be delayed quite a bit.
That is exactly what we're about to see. I want to show something as well, right? He came in with the 3:30 Overlord scout timing that we were talking about in the previous time. And after it left, the forge went up.
Right. That's a pretty big scout.
That would be a big deal to see that because it tells you a lot about the timing of the attack coming in.
Yeah. That would already show that it's like a limp,
Yeah, he didn't get to see that. So he's bought Overlord speed, and he's getting the Roach Horn at a pretty normal time. It looks like he's going up to 48 drones based on what he's scouted thus far.
I mean, right now, it could be anything still. This is another reason why it kind of sucks, right? Like, you scouted a robo, but you're like, I haven't seen, like, 8 gateways. Look, he has to come back in, right? There's no doubt about it.
Well, you don't get Overlord speed and then just scout once with an Overlord you lose, because then it doesn't make any sense. How many drones total is he going up to right now? He's going over 50 drones.
Yeah, it's probably okay.
Hey, now it's definitely okay that he sees the forge.
Yeah. I think, like, if he had... This scout is, like, the stopping the drone scout, right? Like, if he saw, like, 8 gateways here, he'd be 52 or whatever it is. He'd be 52. That's fine, right? It's 44 workers, but... Actually, maybe that's too high already.
It might be a little bit too high if this was coming.
Because this is a lot of probes, right?
Yeah,
this is way more probes than we normally see if they were actually doing an Immortal push. So maybe you're right. But maybe he already knew too somehow that this wasn't a full-on push. Not sure.
He's making a big group of lings. This is that little stalker prism harassment that we talked about several episodes ago.
It's doing pretty good actually. Like this creep spread being cleared, getting
totally
an Overlord
reasonable.
Here.
Production.
Okay, so even the lair now starting at 5:02, quite late. The problem with this generally is that you're kind of shoehorned into playing roaches, right? Your lair's late, so it's not like you're going hydras. Like you know those people who used to do like roach hydra pushes? You need a quite fast lair for that. You need roach speed, you need your hydra upgrades, all that stuff is, need a decently fast lair for it. If you get a lair at this time, you're basically committed to roachling for quite a long period of time, even if you throw down your hydrogen after the lair.
Yeah.
Like we basically have 6 minutes until the beginning of our tech.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks. This is like one thing that feels really bad as a Zerg player when you're kind of committed to roaches, especially when they have a robo already, because they can pump out Immortals and the roaches are kind of useless. You do see quite a few lings out of Lambo, so that's nice. But maybe like we'll see more Ravager ling just based off of his army composition right now from what I see. That
would be my guess as to where you would probably go with this if you thought he was coming out anytime soon.
But still, like the tech delay is quite bad.
Yeah.
Like if you remember back in a little bit before, like you would get fast lairs and go really quick Hydra ling Bane and stuff like that. That stuff was great. Like,
no, it's great if you can get away with it. Protoss just doesn't let you anymore.
Exactly.
I do want to mention, though, if you look, Lambo's keeping good scouting done. I think he's, like, okay as long as there's no third being taken. Like, in this type of situation, you don't even care about your tech being that late. You don't know if he's going to move it +1. You don't know if he's going to move it +2. What you got to look for, I think, is that third base and drone accordingly, make units accordingly.
If I was Lambo right now, I'd be building, like, 20 drones. Like, you see +1, you see a robo, you see 2 gates. Even if you build 20 drones right now, this ling, this queen, and maybe like 7 ravagers will basically hold anything that pushes out. Maximum he can have is like maybe 8 sentries, 3 immortals, something like that. Totally holdable with this.
He's got a bunch of overlords finishing. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, looks like he got supply block. This is good on probe, by the way. Like these little things really push you forward.
Yeah, that stalker drop
like
actually got
4
that.
overlords. This feels really clunky, right? Like he wanted to be building drones the whole time through. But you can see he started with drones after 6 overlords, which feels
he's still
pretty
hunting
bad.
overlords too. We see.
I think he actually overreacted. He's at 85 at 114. He still has overlords on the way. 122. Yeah, that's a bit unnecessary. And he's got another overlord in production. But
maybe a little bit off.
A little bit off. Like these are just resources not spent on drones, so you're going to be a little bit behind economically. Like you look at the economy's not bad for him right now, actually.
It's been quite a good harassment.
This is really nice.
Yeah.
Like, this stuff with Overlord speed is really nice. You can come back and block this with the Overlord once your lair finishes. Or
he should have. Again.
He didn't. But that would have been nice.
He sees a Twilight now.
So far,
I think when you see the Twilight, you know that +2 is going to be on the way.
Yeah. This is 100% +2. This looks like the beginnings of a +3 or 3-base timing attack with +2. I don't know if he can tell yet fully. The problem with this is it's still a 3-base thing. So sometimes they'll just take these gases and just play a normal game, right? Depends on the gateways. You see like 9 gates. That's a pretty big commitment to a low-tech army. Like you don't see the Stargates or whatever it may be. Because eventually you have to tech up out of this.
Yeah.
Or Broodlords will just kill you.
What do you think about this over on Lambo's side with the Baneling Nest?
I
found that kind of interesting.
I don't particularly like it. Because we see there's a Templar Archives on the way.
The thing is, when you see the Twilight coming, that is either Adepts or
Actually,
Zealots.
Ravager Bane is not terrible, I guess.
It felt pretty smart to me, actually, because if you know that, like, if they're going Twilight, that's a much bigger army in general, and it's going to be very clumpy with either Adepts or with Zealots, most likely
This isn't bad,
Zealots.
yeah. He's going Roach I thought like he's not going a different tech like Hydras or Spire or something. He's got 5 gas Roach Bane basically, and you can make Ravagers. So you can kill the if you do this correctly, you can break the force fields with the Ravagers and run the Banelings in. But the problem is, I feel his army doesn't scale as well as Probes does. Like
yes, I would definitely agree it does not scale as well.
You look at Lambo's supply; it's really, really high right now, which means he's producing a ton and ton of units. He does actually. Wait, does he lose this game? There's no way he loses this game, right? Because if Probe attacks into him and wins, this is incredible. Like this is the army that I think he would push across the map with, right? Yeah, there's no way this works. So first off, Probe's attack is like the worst possible position. You see how many force fields this would take to actually do something here?
A million billion.
Yeah, it's a million billion. Lambo's actually been prepared for this the whole time. I think he actually picked up on the fact that this was probably a +2 timing immediately.
Yeah, I think so.
Because, like I said, this army does feel like it's really good right now at dealing with this stuff. But as the game goes on, like say that these gas. Oh, also this is so nice. I didn't even realize full vision of these gases. I don't know how long this Overlord's been here for, but this is basically 100%, right?
Yeah.
Nobody takes a third and doesn't take these gases, especially a Protoss.
Yeah.
If you're macroing, you need these gases. So
the thing is, I don't think he has to commit with this. I think, especially because it's King's Cove, he can easily, easily pull back with this.
He can, but he has to pull back now.
Yes.
Because he's moving too close in.
Well, this area in general is the area of failure for Protoss. We saw this in GSL this last week. What match was it? I'm trying to remember. Someone like super threw right here. I think it was against Sue, like either Deer or who was the?
Yeah, this is not the place.
Anyways, if you
like
battle Zerg in there, they just kill you. Like that's Zerg's defensive area. So where Probe is right now is really wrong for the army.
If Probe backs up immediately, the reason why I know this game's about to end is because this amount of time is left. If Probe backs now, maybe he can get back here, force field, and leave. But if he gets surrounded, the game just ends.
Yeah, let's hit play.
So I'm ready.
Let's see it.
Okay.
Go to regular speed.
Oh, nice. He actually backs. Never mind. On the back foot, yeah, this is really good. Because he would have just lost that whole army.
You just forced all of his money and all of his larvae into units. When you're moving out with a force like that, he just has to make units.
Oh, he's coming back. Yeah, this is an army that Lambo has to attack with eventually, too. Like, he's producing Ling Bane Ravager. Eventually, Lambo's going to trade this for better units, so he's going to attack into you. Like, you're not going to just be like, oh, this is my late game army. I'm maxed here, you know? Because he's maxed, so eventually he'll trade. This is not going to go well. It's still not going to go well.
Yeah, this is just you can't come up with a worse place for an engagement than it. Look at this. It's hard for me to get on the entire screen.
Yeah,
the area. Fields, Look at the surface area here of Zerg. If we just had big, flat, wide open maps, Zerg would never lose a game. And it's like the thing is, his army is really good. He's got +2, right? Yeah. He's got a good immortal count, good sentry count. He's got good tech. He's got a third base.
Right.
In a situation like this, I think if you didn't have the in before, and if he just walks back and gets into Psystorm, Lambo has a garbage army.
What is he even looking at?
Garbage army.
Why didn't we force field at all? Like, we're going for this push. Why did what happened?
Here, let's just see.
Like he's like, all right, I'm ready to go. About to get on creep. He sees these banelings and he's like, it's like a fucking deer in the headlight. He's like,
uh-oh,
he's got banelings. Oh God! Look at, he doesn't even force field.
Ouch! Very late.
Okay, well, Lambo doesn't give a damn. This is a pretty one-sided push.
That was a complete anti-attack. Like this is
this is perfect for Lambo.
A giant mistake, and he loses everything and loses the game thus. But yeah, in this situation, like with this build, he kind of like we saw the Overlord speed. We saw him scout in. He didn't see the Forge on the first time. I love because you know that the Overlord should be coming around 3:30. I don't know if that was part of Probe's plan, but it was beautiful that he did not put down the Forge until after that Overlord was dealt with. Put down the Forge. Lambo's making extra units at that point, not droning quite as heavily as maybe he would have otherwise. Even the pokeouts were nice. And, I mean, eventually Lambo saw that it was probably a +2, kept making units to prepare for this push.
Right.
And the thing is, I love how Probe walked out and then walked back, but then he came back and actually fought. And it's like,
If
The
this was a
Zerg army
different-
is literally not getting better because it's maxed out Roach,
Yeah.
Ravager, Ling, Bane.
This is the perfect thing for Lambo.
If you max out at that point as probe, you just attack, move, and win.
This is basically if Lambo was controlling the Protoss army. He's like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm going to come in,
Yeah.
not force filled, and I'm going to come in the biggest wide open spot. Like,
yeah.
And also, it was like the perfect time for Max too.
Yeah.
Like, look at the economy: 64 drones. Like, this is not an ideal army composition for the late game, and this is not an ideal economy for the late game.
Yeah.
This is an ideal for literally what happened, and that was based on the fact that
Yeah.
there's an Overlord still in his base, right? Like, he did an amazing job at just like constantly using. He 100% utilized his Overlord speed perfectly.
Yeah.
Which is
So-
something you definitely need to do if you're going Overlord speed.
Let's jump into Probe's other game as well, because he plays a similar game there. But the thing is, I actually really
we actually have
liked.
Probe in the chat.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah.
There was
Yeah,
some
there's-
thought of forcing units, but yeah, waiting for +2.
Yeah,
Why didn't you force field, Pro? What happened? Also, why did we attack in the biggest choke?
Yeah.
What were you expecting? I'm curious. Now that we have you
This
here.
is great to have Probe here.
Yeah.
Cheers to Probe in the chat. But no, what I was trying to say is I really like the build.
Mm-hmm.
It looked really strong, and if you can just recognize that Lambo has maxed out on that type of very mid-game army, and you just back up and turtle and get
I
Psystorm,
100% agree.
oh my god,
Yep.
Lambo's screwed, man. Like, that's my feeling of it.
I agree, and he can keep his upgrades going too. Like you had a perfect couldn't FF because random single Heart Templar in my control group. That sucks. That really sucks.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, that's extremely unfortunate because you're looking at him like there's no reason why you shouldn't be force
Suddenly,
filling, but now it makes
suddenly
sense.
the High Templar is trying to feed back all in front
Yeah,
of you.
that's bad. That sucks, man. What were you expecting? Because it felt like you were very, like decisive on you wanted to push now. I don't know what army you were expecting to kill there. Were you expecting that he'd have more drones and maybe more tech or what? Like, what army there is good for you is my question. Is it like Roach Hydra? Is it like, I don't know.
I think he's already screwed up the Zerg so much in this position. I think that's a hard map to actually kill someone with one of these pushes because you either are attacking up a ramp or you're attacking into the most open fourth
spot,
base
yeah.
in the entire map pool.
I agree. That's why I'm curious.
Yeah.
Can we get him on Discord?
We cannot. We don't have the technology.
Maybe sometime. I think if I'm just splitting his army, I do extremely well. Okay.
Did we have a prism somewhere? I don't think.
So.
Let's Probe. We're going to jump into your next game.
All right.
So let's
43 minutes.
Yeah, we're not going to look at the whole game. We're interested in the
this is against
Immortal
Namshar?
Push and what it does. Yes, this is against Namshar.
Okay.
And this is from the round of 24, if I recall correctly.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
You have so many force fields. Yep. We saw how many force fields you had that game. It was amazing, dude.
All right, let's speed this up a little bit.
Again, King's Cove. What are your vetoes, Probe, in this tournament while we load up? I'm curious. It's also going to be really interesting if he does it again, like the same build, essentially.
If I recall correctly, it's almost the same exact build. It's
Okay.
pretty close.
I'm very interested then.
Again, I actually think it's quite a nice build. I want to give this one a try where I walk out like 3 times, then I walk back and I get Psystorm, and then I kill him right before Broodlords. That's going to be my plan.
Yeah, I think that stuff is really good. Automaton makes sense.
Automaton,
New
New
Repugnancy.
Repugnancy.
Is New Repugnancy that bad for Protoss? Sasha says it's one of the worst maps in the map pool, but I don't know. She's very whiny sometimes.
Okay, so this looks like pretty much the same build, right? I mean,
Oh, did he get Overlord speed again? Wait.
He brought us. Let's see.
Did he get Overlord speed? I didn't see.
Yes.
Okay.
Overlord speed once again.
His lair is much faster than Lambo's too.
Oh yeah.
So this is already different.
Quite right.
Roach one is a little bit later by the looks of it. Okay. Interesting variations already.
Okay, let's take a look. It looks like Probe moved out with a couple sentries rather than 3 Stalker. Not getting too much done.
Well, I don't know what's going on, but Namshar's build feels really off. Like already, we've got 40 drones versus 45 probes.
Oh wow, yeah. 19 lings right now.
He built quite a few lings. I don't know particularly why, because this isn't that big of a pressure, right? This is pretty like this.
That's actually the same amount of lings that Lambo built against the 3 Stalker harassment.
Because this just feels weird because we have 600 minerals and basically no drones. 40 drones to 45. I mean, I guess he builds a bunch of drones now, but it still feels clunky.
Okay.
Even now, no drones still in production. 12 roaches.
Let's quite a group.
I do not like this at all.
Okay, let's check out what he scouted. Go jump back. Okay, he started. I wanna actually jump back right before he went in.
I'll follow his camera, yeah. Before he builds the riches, let's see what he
Okay.
sees.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Okay, so we're on Namshar's vision. Okay.
Okay, so at this point he's already decided.
But
I think he decided.
It's interesting to me that he made the 12 roaches right there because he sees the forge, and I think the forge automatically tells you it's a much slower push.
I mean, I don't like it at all. I don't know what to say here. Like, Namshar is building a ton of units into a player that could play passively with Immortals and upgrades.
Yeah. It's, like, I mean, there's just been very light harassment. He has enough lings that the harassment's not a big issue.
Uh-huh.
Drone count at 40.
Like, this is the kind of reaction
it almost
I would
feels
expect.
like an autopilot against a very aggressive Immortal push when we see signs that it's not that aggressive.
Yeah.
Right?
And even still, if this guy was like Immortal Sentry letting you, like, you would probably want more drones, a little bit more. I don't know. I don't like it.
Well, the 12 roaches I definitely don't like.
And now he's building drones after the roaches, which is even weirder.
Yeah, there seems to be some mismanagement of order here.
Give me this, you jumpy. Yeah. This feels weird. So he's got a bunch of roaches. He's got a bunch of lings. Now he's building drones, which is fine, but it's kind of out of order.
Yeah. He sees that coming.
Yes, he's the third. The Overlord speed's kind of doing less than it did for Lambo this game.
Well, I think that the problem with the Overlord speed is that he got it and then didn't utilize it to react as much as Lambo did. It felt like if he hadn't gotten Overlord speed, this would be a great play because he thinks it might be an Immortal push, but instead he scouts the Forge and still makes 12 roaches, and then he even sees the Twilight warping in. So, like, having 12 roaches right at that moment is the most worthless thing you could ever have.
And he definitely built those before he reacted. You know, like, those roaches were in production, then he looks back and sees a Forge, and he's like, now I've just got these. Like, I'm not canceling these larvae.
I thought he saw the Forge before he made them.
I don't think so.
I think he did.
All right, let's go back. Okay, so we'll just times 8 it or whatever. So
yeah, he just flew over it with the Overlord. He flew over the Forge while it was warping in.
He doesn't even have his roach horn yet, too. That's just weird.
Yeah. So that is the like nuts bad time to make 12 roaches.
I agree.
You can't find a worse time because now you just don't have drones.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. There's not really much reason to do that. Like, the only reason you'd ever do that is if you see, like, a Twilight or something, and maybe it goes, like, a Depths or something. But
yeah,
like,
but we saw the Twilight warping in as well.
We just have a ton of roaches now for no reason. Even this is actually just really scary, like this push.
Yeah?
Just because we've invested so much in earlier.
Yeah, let's see what type of supply and drone count. Maybe we're overstating it a little bit. We'll see what he has when Probe gets there.
Oh, this is nice from Namshar.
Hey, those are those 12 roaches. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, this is a good way of using them, I guess. You think that's why you built them in the first place?
For a counterattack?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I just want to see what these roaches do. So we'll follow Namshar's view. He's getting full vision. He contaminates. Sees +1, Forge at third base. This is a pretty good scout, even this, right? Like, this is a lot of zealots. Yeah. Like, even this is too much to not be some kind of push. So he should already know that he's gearing up for a push. Like, nobody builds that many zealots in a macro game. Not a straight-up macro game.
Yeah.
Without a push or something going on. Look at these roaches. They're just sitting there ready. This is like the perfect counterattack timing. Ooh, instant recall. This is already done, like, more than it's worth. Does lose quite a few roaches, but,
you know. Bought himself some time there.
Bought him some time, yeah. Okay, whenever you're not just getting pushed, it feels good. And also now in the back of Probe's mind, he needs to be, you know, kind of worried about counterattacks. So he needs to leave some units at home or some, you know, vision of counterattacks. This is the other way to deal with this kind of army, by the way.
Okay. So this is kind of interesting with this push. Let's take a look at the units.
He pushes through here again.
Right? We actually have a very similar amount of drones, right? Probe's got his +2 about to finish within 10 seconds, right? So this is a very similar timing to what we saw against Lambo. Lambo had like Roach Bane for the most part, right? And he was maxed out. He was maybe 9 supply high or whatever that we've had a little bit of scuffles.
Mm-hmm.
But look at this, right? Instead of the Banes, we have like a bunch of Hydras. We have some Ravagers in there.
Yeah.
What do you think about this army?
I like it. I like it more if you're not sure if he's going to commit. Like Roach Hydra feels a little bit better in the mid to late game.
Yeah.
Like he's getting a lurker den. He's got a better like options for more of a mid game and late game. Whereas Lambo just had like Roach Bane. That was his army, right? And he had to do something with it. This army you can counterattack with Roaches, keep the Hydra count and Ravager count high, and then go into whatever you want. Broodlords.
Yeah, it looks like he wants Lurkers.
Lurkers are not the greatest option, but Lurkers.
Now, but let's watch the battle, right?
This was not the best battle from Namshar, by the way.
No.
He was not expecting this army to come from this angle, I don't think, immediately. Like, going up a ramp, I can already tell that he's clearly not. He didn't plan for this engagement, because if you plan it, you'd want to be running this way, because this way has a way bigger retreat path. And so this is basically best-case scenario for Probe, I would say.
Well, it's so interesting, right, that we see Probe do basically the same thing twice, and then it felt like the droning of Lambo was better.
Droning was definitely better
than Namshar.
Also,
but they had
positioning
such different unit comps, and the attacks happened in the same spot.
Yeah, I think Lambo's army positioning was much better, and his creep spread was much better too in these areas. His army was sitting in a place where you can engage it wide open, whereas Namshar's was back here, which was bad, right? Because Probe just jumped on it, split it in half, and he had to go up a ramp.
Yeah,
and lost the space. But I don't think Namshar was just not expecting it. This army looks a million times scarier, by the way, right now than it did versus Lambo. Like when I don't know if it's the Archons or what it was. Like the game that Lambo played, this army was not scary.
It did not look as scary.
But this looks a lot better against this army. It's really low probe count too.
Yeah, this game goes on for a million years, as you can see. But kind of interesting. I like the build overall, though. I like the idea of this strategy and how you have the option to come back. But it's
I would like
the difference in the two games, right, where he's basically attacking at the same time with very similar armies,
right?
But into completely different armies. And this one he crushes, and then the other one, the Lingbane Roach.
What I was about to say, what I'd like more, and then we talked about the stuff, is I was going to say Probes and Storm on the back foot of this. And look what you see in production, Probes and Storm. Yeah. Because it's basically perfect, right? Because if this push gets forwarded, you've got Storm, Probes, and you're going to take your gases. You got nice upgrades. You should probably be getting this too. This is also something I'd say get.
Yeah.
Because this army really isn't going to grow much bigger than this. You can add more Zealots, more Archons, but, Immortals are going to have to be rallied across the map. Like, this is basically your punch, right? You don't really need to make this bigger. You just need to...
Well, he did so much with it. To just kill the fourth base, I feel like he's in a good position here. Because it's now 3 base versus 3 base.
He just needs to get his economy back up a bit. Because
it's not perfect.
Economy and tech are pretty far behind, but you can have these going up as well.
It's just...
This all came down to Namshar's positioning, by the way.
Yeah, a big part of it, certainly. I don't know. It's just... I look at these two games with the same strategy running into different unit types. And I feel like the build of Probe is super flexible. Because, in this situation, he did fantastic with it. We agree that if he just retreated against the Bane,
Storms,
the Bane Roach Ravager one, maybe he's further ahead. So who's playing the right game here, Namshar or Lambo?
I think
isn't that
both are correct?
Yeah, right.
And they're both good at their own things. Like Namshar is better for. If he was able to fort this and have this base up, that would be much better for him, right?
Oh, of course.
Because he can just trade roaches, keep his big, expensive units, and get a better army comp. Whereas Lambo kind of has to go for something. He has to go for a push, and I think as Probe, if you see like a maxed army of Roach Bane, it's not that hard to deal with it, right? Because now you're just like, okay, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to get whatever you want. You get some Stargates, get your upgrades, get your Storm, and you just sit up here.
Storm and Archons,
Ravager Bane is not coming up this ramp, okay? So that's the only nice thing, I guess. So they're two totally different styles. I think Lambo's is way better if Probe attacks into him fully. Lambo's is just like, Snap going to kill this army with a huge army supply lead.
It's almost an
Whereas this one's probably going to trade a little bit more, like 50-50 trades.
But you're more prepared if he like turns around, whereas Lambo's army is not very prepared if he turns around.
Exactly.
Yeah, very interesting.
They're both different, and they're both good at their respective things.
Yeah.
I think if you were like someone like Serral or someone more like really dominant in the late game, you'd probably go for something more like this, because it tends itself to go that way more.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas the Ravager Bane kind of feels shoehorned into, like I said, an aggressive attack at some point. Because what are you going to do? Like, that's majority of your tech and army. Yeah. Also, Namshar's upgrades have been much better this whole game than Lambo's earlier on, because his lair was considerably faster than Lambo's. So it just feels like Namshar's response is more economical, and Lambo's response is more just like, I'm going to kill this army and go.
Which is funny, too, because he made the 12 roaches off the bat when that wasn't necessarily a good
that
choice.
Was just, one more thing just to point out, because I did point this out before, but I want to show you guys basically where where Namshar went really wrong. If you look at where his army was just sitting versus where Lambo's army was sitting, like this is where you should be sitting, right? Because now you've got a really big retreat path. You can basically buy as much time to not lose this, and you're not just going to have your army cut in half while you're going up a ramp or something. But you watch this. First off, Namshar has really no idea. Actually, how did he see those? I don't know. Okay, well, I guess he does know, but he hasn't reacted.
Does he have something right there? No.
He hasn't reacted to what he's seen yet.
Whatever, there must have been a ling or something.
Like, still hasn't reacted. Normally, you have your army at least selected by now. This should be spread, right? Like, we should see, like, more army here, more army here, so that it's a full
Does
concave.
he auto-hold this, though? I don't think he does.
No, but you can't. Maybe.
I think that if he takes a full fight here, Probe might kill him.
It's hard to say. Depends. I think I agree, but I think you want to retreat this way still.
Yeah, maybe
and the prison seems pretty far forward.
If you retreat that way, does he get a free kill on the third?
He gets a free kill either way.
I'm not talking about the fourth. I'm talking the third.
Oh, the fourth.
If you retreat the other way, your travel distance to defend your third is.
I don't think so.
A little bit harder, right?
I think that's a pretty crazy move for Probe to just like straight up go up the ramp.
Yeah, it seems like he's going to take the fourth every time.
He's going to take the fourth, I think, every time.
And that'll give you time.
And he's going to chase the army. So, because he even said it in chat earlier that he wants to cut this army in half.
Yeah, yeah.
But like when you go up here,
I think he can't battle with these units, and so that makes me think that maybe Lambo's opening
is better.
Is a little bit better against.
Yeah, let's say we take out all these Hydras, because that's a lot of Hydras, and just replace it with like 30 Banelings. I think he could just dominate this.
Well, we already saw that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he didn't get the force fields up and stuff, but it did not feel like Lambo was in any danger of losing his fourth at any time in that game. But again, this is why I added these in here kind of in a selfish, personal way, these couple probe games, because I really like the build, because it's like it gives you this sick potential, and it kind of dictates a lot of things to Zergs that are already afraid of Immortal Pushes, yet it feels like it's got way more transition potential than anything. For the other Immortal Pushes, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, actually, what I would like to see, I think, like he has his Lurker done already. I think what I would like to see is have a Baneling Nest and get Bane Speed, and maybe get these structures, but no Hydras, you know? Like, let's take these 10 Hydras out and replace it with, like, 20 Banes. That's basically the resources.
So, and then what you're saying is Lambo's game make a Hydralist then?
Yeah.
And just start an upgrade for it or something?
Because once this army fights, like remember when I said he has to trade it so that he can get a better army comp? Once this army fights, he is going to lose some supply. Like he didn't lose it because he just dominated, but if this was like a trade, then he can just kind of refill it with Hydra, a Lurker, whatever he wants. Whatever it could have been a Spire too. I don't care. It just needs to be some tech or something. But this fight went really poorly. This is a big chunk of your army just to lose.
It's good control there and everything. Good force fields.
The fact that Probe doesn't just kill him, though, I think is something is said there.
Do you think he can kill him here?
I think he can, to be honest.
Okay, let's see when he pokes to the ramp, okay?
I don't know if Probe knows that he can, though, at the same time. This definitely not.
Can he?
I think so, yes.
With all the hold on, let's look at. I want to just look at the army real quick. Okay, so we have like 5 Ravagers, decent amount of Hydras, tons of Roaches. You think he straight up breaks up there? Maybe.
I think so. +2. How many Immortals?
But the thing is, if I kill the fourth base and my army looks like this, and I have Storm on the way, and I have +2 already,
I mean, that's why
I don't think I go up that ramp. I mean, I guess the game is 43 minutes long, so maybe I'm wrong on calling that. But it seems like Probe's just in a better position here, and it's good to play it out in a longer way.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't. Actually, this push makes more sense now that I look at it on this map specifically. Because your fourth is on a low ground in like a pretty wide open space.
And you can take your third basically for free as Protoss on the map.
Yeah. This is interesting. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
Well, I guess our question is answered. No, he can't. That was pretty good, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's playing well. We're not going to go through the whole game because we have a lot of games to go through, but
Is he?
that is the more macro-based.
Even that far ahead right now, though?
I'm not saying that I think he's far ahead. I think he's in a good position. I think that as probe here, like I wouldn't have actually attacked up the ramp that one time personally.
Yeah.
But I think if you pull back with that type of army after killing the fourth and whittling down some of his army while getting Storm, you start another upgrade.
Right.
That you can, like once Storm is done, you can easily take and hold a fourth. And if you just kind of keep on top of the Zerg, like they're not going to catch you off guard with the Broodlords or anything. Like
I agree.
Your army's just good.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Okay.
Probe, if you're here, I have one question. Is this influenced by anybody specifically, or is this like your own kind of style? I'm curious. Like, do you base this off of somebody else's play, or is this like you thinking, okay, this makes sense, or that kind of stuff? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'd be curious to that as well. But yeah, I really like that kind of macro-based Immortal push. It can be hard to figure out what's going on with that. I'm especially interested in the completely different results of the two.
That's very different than what we've been doing. I watched Neeb do it on stream a week before WCS. Cool.
Oh, cool. Okay.
That's cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
I can't remember what Neeb's push is. We will look at Neeb's at some point here. Okay, so those were the probe games.
Probe says it didn't make much sense to me because he doesn't probe and doesn't really all in. So I was still learning this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you're kind of right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I saw it, but it's like he kind of probes and kind of all ins, but not.
He doesn't do either.
But he doesn't do either. Well, the thing is, if you're confused about it, it means the Zerg sure as hell is.
It's true. Like if you go back to the Lambo versus probe game, if probe was even more all in, probably wouldn't have done anything else except kind of demise, like 100% demise. Like it was 100% demise because of his engagement already, but it would have been like 100% demise plus like another 100%. I don't know how to explain it. He was basically going to kill that army no matter what you had. I don't care if you have like 6 more Immortals or whatever it is, right? Like there was nothing that was going to kill Lambo in that position.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it. Not at that time in the game. Cool. Thank you, Probe, for your input there. Hope we did some sort of justice to your strategy. Okay, so from here we have 3 Goblin games. We have a Cloudy game and a Neeb game.
Is this Neeb game what he's talking about? Because then maybe we should
watch. I can't remember
watch.
because it was one of the first ones I watched.
6:58. It seems like it's pretty quick.
Yeah, no. This is actually this is one of the games where like laser actually opens up with Zerglings.
Yeah.
But it's not. It doesn't become like stupid. I didn't feel like because there was a game in here, for instance, where someone got really aggressive and then the guy went Immortals and died.
Well, I mean, I was just
and
curious.
It's like,
that would have been really cool if this was like, for example, what Probe was basing his play off of.
It is not the same.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's just jump into whatever.
Yeah. Let's go to the knockout round 6. This is going to be Cloudy against SortOf.
One thing to note: Cloudy plays on Korea server, which is just an interesting side note. I don't know. It's kind of like I feel like metas develop in a bit of a bubble. Honestly,
the good Chinese play on the Korean server.
All of them, yes. No one plays on the Chinese server. But my point is that Europe and Korea are just developing the metas in little isolated bubbles. So the Korean Immortal Sentry is extremely different than the European one so far, which is why I think it's interesting we're doing this episode because we're not necessarily claiming they're the same thing, but they're kind of like each region's interpretation of what they think this should do, right? Mm-hmm. Like, for example, SOS thinks this should kill you. Classic thinks this should kill you. Well, whereas Probe is like, this should force you to produce units. Kind of, I'm going to, chop up your army a bit and then, play it out.
Well, I love it because when we did the initial episode, there was some people being like, oh, the Europeans figured this out and this is how it goes. And it's like, well, let's look at how it goes and let's see.
Right.
It was a surprisingly low amount of Immortal Pushes, in my opinion, out of the 47 games.
This is interesting, too, because SortOf also plays on the Korean server.
Yeah, that's true.
I would say SortOf is almost more Korean now than European. Because he's basically been in Korea for a year and a half now. Like, okay, this is already quite a crazy game.
There was a lot of hatch blocks, actually. I did not include that in the other stat because this isn't aggressive. It's just kind of to mess you up.
I like it. I actually really, really like hatch block. It seems less common. This is kind of like...
There was a lot of hatch blocks in WCS.
Yeah, this is...
Was.
You know how probes block your... This is like the Zergs just like, no, you know what? It's my turn. Like, you want to be annoying? How about a hatchery in your natural?
I like it. It dictates it. You're prepared for this. They aren't as much as you are. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's extremely annoying. Like even now... God damn it, Cloudy. He's making it really annoying for SortOf still. SortOf going gas pool. Normally you would just take this hatchery, but I guess he's not that comfortable taking it over here. Like usually it's 3 hatch before a pool even. When you go hatch block.
Here we can speed it up a little bit.
One thing to note with hatch block is you're forcing a faster cybernetics core, which in general means their tech is going to be a little bit quicker. That's just something you should note if you do hatch block, because they have no choice. They go gate cyber. Normally they go gate Nexus cyber. Cyber's a little bit delayed because of that. This is like full force, like basically the fastest cyber you can get. So yeah, if we don't see like a fast forge or something, it's usually a pretty quick robo. Or
I
quick Stargate.
Liked 2 Adepts as a counter to this, because their ling speed is always going to be a little bit late compared to your Adepts.
You send them across the map, though?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The only thing is the Zealot does a lot of DPS on the hatchery, unless you build your Nexus a little bit quicker.
No, I'm saying the 2
After the
Adepts
Zealot?
after the Zealot, yes.
Yeah.
I've always liked this as a counter.
Yeah, this is good.
It's just, you have them so quick, you can one-shot some drones.
So here's the 330 robo finishing. Oh my god.
See?
Oh my god.
It's a good counter.
Oh my god.
That's
8
crazy.
workers dying to the first 2 Adepts is extremely bad. Yeah, a lot of Zerg players would just be like, this is pretty much game over. Like, 8 drones at the early game is a pretty big deal. Like, you look at his drone count, it's 25 to 33. Yeah, this is bad. Double Immortal. I actually really like Warp Prism drops, like double Immortal Prism drop or something like that. I've been doing it a lot in PvP too. It just feels really good.
Yeah.
I don't know why more people don't do it. There's probably a reason. Just as a player that plays Protoss more casually, it feels amazing. Dropping Immortals and sniping pylons and stuff. And getting full vision. So, SortOf's definitely not breaking this, and these are coming on the map. So usually you bring your Zerglings back, but okay, he's bringing them back. Nice. This makes sense. You bring the sentry to force field. Yeah.
Yeah, that was very effective.
That's very effective. This is a lot of links. This looks more similar to Lambo's game than
it seems, by the
Yamshar's
way,
game.
all these Zergs are making the exact same amount of lings as the Prism comes out for the first time.
Yeah,
Everyone's
like
getting like 18 lings.
I think this is enough to just be safe in case it's like some Adept stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. But
the Adepts won't have glaives, but sometimes they just have like way more Adepts than you expect. Because like this, you realistically, if you know it's this, you don't need that many lings, right?
Yeah.
If it's exactly this, like nothing else,
it's just
you could probably hold it with this many lings and a couple queens, right? You don't really need to, but if they have like say 5 gates in here, and they just keep warping in Adepts or something, that would be really annoying.
I think I just find it interesting that each game that we've seen so far is the exact same amount of lings made to counter the Prism. So that might just be like a piece of common knowledge for Zerg pros in Europe to get that amount. What's the drone count at? 43. Don't forget he lost 8 early on.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
I like it. This is much closer to Lambo's game. We don't see an extremely fast lair. We don't see upgrades. The only thing that's different is there's no Overlord speed, which is an interesting decision, right? So this, if we compare this to Lambo's game, it's basically Lambo's game. Actually, you know what? I bet he couldn't afford it because he lost so many drones early on.
Yeah.
You'd be really crippled because you need to have it fast enough that the Overlords comes in at 330 are basically pointless.
Yeah.
Because whatever Cloudy commits to will kill you if you don't scout it at that point. That's why Zerg send them in, right? So interesting. I'm curious to see how SortOf plays it. If you don't go Overlord speed, he's probably going to play it more like lings here. You can kind of see it based off of the third base timing.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, right? Because if you have a ling outside their natural and you have a lings at their third bases, you kind of get the sense of the game already. Sure, they can have 4 gases and some upgrades or some shit in the main. That would be really weird. But mostly you're going to take a third base with this if you're not all-inning.
Okay.
So we'll probably see that. That's my prediction already, that the lings are going to be very proactive compared to Lambo, where he basically look at this, what did I say? I'm a Zerg player, aren't I?
Yeah.
See, so this is exactly
That's
what you
need to do.
This makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what he sees and see if he has time to react to what he sees. Note that he's already building a ton of roaches before fully.
Let's just check the unit count. Okay, 43 drones. Again, he lost 8 early on, so this is.
In theory, he could be at 50 drones right now.
Yes. And then have even more units. So.
Yeah. So that's why it's such a big deal. He scouts that this is a move out.
Okay. Let's see what his positioning's looking like. He has some units up in his main
base.
base.
One nice thing to note, look at his creep. His creep is actually really nice.
Beautiful.
This feels so good if you're a Zerg player because Immortal Sentry coming in from any of these angles has to kill the creep first.
Was it Rogue's game that we watched where his creep was still up on his ramp?
Yeah. And he just got dominated.
Yeah. So this is really
this is something you should
upon
certainly be doing if you're going to be Immortal Sentry pushed.
Okay, he doesn't see where it's coming yet. He knows it's coming. He's kind of getting into position.
Okay, he sees it now.
Okay.
Prism. Look at that. He has a lot of units in the main.
That is a fake prism.
Oh, this is smart if this is fake. Oh, that's so smart.
Yeah.
I like that. I think Oh, that's so great.
Okay, now here comes the actual army. Look at this. He gets up to the ramp immediately. He came in from the area with the least creep, by the way.
He still leaves units here. This is so great.
I just do want to point out real quick, if you look where Cloudy came in, he came in at exactly the point with the least creep.
Yeah.
So obviously you can see the creep before the creep can see you because of tumors.
Right.
And that was just kind of a smart move by him.
That's smart, yeah.
But look at how far in he gets before they engage.
This feels really bad already for SortOf.
His army doesn't look to me like it can beat this. This is before any units are dying,
and before any force fields and all the zealots are behind the sentries. But like I see the force fields cutting this up.
I don't think you can. No, 10 sentries, 16 zealots, 3 Immortals. I think he's just dead. Like, look at the unit counts.
Yeah, and look at the
drone
counts.
Hold that.
So even in a miracle hold,
Yeah.
Cloudy's not even far behind.
It seems like the 8 drone kills made this as close to impossible as it could be, because he's got like the right amount of drones. He creeped very, very well. He has pretty much the right unit comp for such an early push, but if you just look at the numbers,
right,
it's just it's not enough. It's not enough.
Yeah, we're gonna watch this get dominated in a second here. Those were nice biles.
Those were very nice.
This is actually not a terrible fight. I think if SortOf had the bigger army supply, like not losing those 8 drones, having 50 drones, he'd have maybe, let's say, we'll give him 10 more roaches or something.
Okay.
It's still hard, but actually I don't even know if 10 more roaches is enough yet.
Well, I mean, the thing is we can't go back and check exactly.
Yeah.
It's just
the hypothetical.
Yeah. It's obvious that the 8 roaches make
I honestly think you need Banes.
Do you?
I think you need Banes.
I don't think I completely agree with you on that.
I think the Zealots do too much against Roachling. Like, Banelings are so much scarier. You need to be more proactive with your force fields. Ravager Biles can take down the force fields, and Banelings connect on this. It's so squishy.
The thing is, you'll never have Baneling speed, so it is a little bit easier to micro against.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd much rather Banelings than Lings, I think, if I had to pick. Even if I had 5 Banes here, it feels better, even if it's not, you know?
Okay. Yeah, no,
it's hard to say.
I'm hearing you. I'm interested in the idea.
Like, I like to play melee Lings, but melee Ling is actually just awful. I don't know what to say. Look at.
Yeah, he's doing his best hold. He just can't.
If 3 Immortals.
It was a really well done push by Cloudy, but those 2 Adepts feel like such a turner here.
I think he might actually be able to hold this with 8 more drones.
Yeah. Well, it's just, if you look at, you have so much less if you lose your drones early on, because you have to remake them. You already lost that mining time. That's additional drones that you could not have had, which would have exploded your economy even more, and then your units would start earlier anyways, and you'd have more money to buy more units.
Right.
So it's like, the amount that it snowballs is actually crazy.
I agree.
But this is...
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
This is too little too late anyways. You can just keep warping in. At this point, it's 0% chance anyways, because he can actually just outproduce you. It would be interesting to see this game played out without the 8 drone loss.
Yeah, that would have been a very useful one, I think, because it's such a straightforward push.
I think this map one more thing to note. Go back in game. I think this map is really really good for Immortal Sentry. It feels like this choice of the Zerg player having to like back into their nat or back into third is a tough one, right? It's like the worst case of two scenarios. And you come up here. I think you'd have to defend here, but it's too far forward for a lot of Zerg players to want to hold here. You know. I feel like still trying to hold here is much better than trying to hold here with the same army.
Yes, I would.
If this ramp
definitely
was a
agree on
little
that.
bit smaller, if there was like a destructible debris here, this map would be a million times better for Zerg, you know?
Yeah.
Because
I
now
see
you're
what you
pushing up this ramp and Biles can be really sick here.
mean.
But this ramp and then this one here, yeah, but you're not going to split your Protoss army. I think you need to hold here. That's your only choice.
Seems that way. We noticed that above the third, he really committed a lot of creep. I've
Once
seen
you're
a lot
here,
of pushes come in that angle.
It's
so.
just bad because the natural has a really
it's tight.
Yeah, it has a really tight natural, and there's a lot of force field spots on the nat.
Mm.
And if you go down here, obviously,
Oh yeah.
you're going up a ramp into the Protoss. It's never going to be good. It might even be interesting if this was on the same plane as this, you know, because this is a really bad place to be if you're a Zerg player. It's very interesting to think about this map for Immortal Sentry, but it does seem like Immortal Sentry on this map, from all the replays we've seen so far, feels much more powerful than, say, a King's Cove, where you're going up a ramp into the natural.
Absolutely. Well, once you get into this area, it's just too simple for force fields to dominate.
Like even let's imagine that no Zerg army has died yet. Like, you can do a couple force fields here and kill this base, basically.
Yeah.
So, it's very interesting. Okay, we can jump into another game.
So that was Cloudy against SortOf.
I think Zerg players need to just know it's coming, like, on that map specifically.
Well, he did know. It's just the thing is, I think that the 8 drones, we can't really calculate how different that could have been, because it seemed like, I think what SortOf was doing was good enough that if he wasn't in such a terrible spot economically, that he could have
It's possible that if he had those more units, he would be more forward too. I think he just looks at that and he's like, my army dies to that.
He's kind of doing the best he can do. We're going to jump into the Neeb game, and then we'll do all the Goblin games.
Cool. Sounds good. I'm interested Goblin versus Rainer because the way, or Goblin versus Lambo rather, because the way Lambo played against it looked really strong.
Yeah.
So I'm extremely curious. I'm definitely going to be trying that. It seems really strong.
Which one?
Ravager Bane.
Oh yeah, it's funny. That was like a really popular unit composition. Like what,
it was
3 years ago now. It was
when the Ravagers first came out. Everyone was Ravager Baning.
Yeah, and it was pretty hard to stop back then. It was like came down to getting your Archons and Storms out and stuff. And now that everyone. Right? That is kind of interesting when you think of it, because that was the counter. I remember because I was having a terrible time, and then I just watched a bunch of Petit Drogo games because he was crushing it, and he just made a bunch of Archons, got some Size Storm, and he's like, oh, look at that. I just eat through everything.
I think the problem with Ravager Bane is the early pushes, though, right? Like, remember we were talking about how you may or may not like that Bane's being added into that army comp? We're basically stuck with Roach Ravager until we get Bane's and Bane's Feet or whatever. So if they go for that really quick push, your army may or may not be able to deal with it. That's why we have to look at Lambo versus Goblin if he goes for the more aggressive version.
Yeah, that's cool. I can't wait to see. See, it's a pool first here for a laser. I was really surprised by
that. That's
like
a 12? 12? Wait. Okay, we'll just assume it's 12 pool for now.
It is. It was a 12 pool.
Nobody goes 12 pool. 12 pool is
Dude, there was a
really
lot of
bad.
them in the tournament. There was a lot.
12 pool?
Yes. There was 12 pools all over the place. And offensive hatcheries, too. A lot of them.
Oh, you know what this was? This was cute. Did he send this at a normal hatch timing? No, right? No, Neeb scouted later. Okay. Double gate, cyber. Even this is more than normal reaction. Because you can't necessarily tell if there's a gas up here.
Yeah.
If there's a gas up here, there's a pretty big difference than if there's none.
Yeah, of course.
Like, Eco 12 pool is actually not that scary. 2 Zealots deals with it, you know. Like, this is all the links he's going to have this whole game. Though, if you go 2 gate, you know what you can do. Double Adepts. Yeah.
No, it's super strong.
Cool. So, Neeb defends flawlessly. This is why I don't like 12 pool. It doesn't seem like it's very good. Now we have no gases. We have no tech. And we have even workers with them. So, yeah. Feels bad. Just feels clunky.
Yeah. Does a bit. Let's see what these adepts
also,
do.
This stuff is really annoying if they kill any drones because your drone count is so low. 24. Imagine losing 8 drones now.
Oh, it's game over.
Yeah. So,
Well, the 2 zealots, man.
And there's 2
Look at
zealots,
that.
yeah. So now he can just clean up as many links. You see how he's focusing down most of the links. This is so the adepts have more, possibility of killing drones. This is devastating. This is basically game over already. If he kills like 4 or 5 drones, which he will, he could stay here. He doesn't need to even finish the shade if he doesn't want to. That's a very conservative
6
play.
drones.
Okay, yeah.
7 drones. This is actually even worse than the other game.
This is much worse.
Damn.
I would say the game is over, basically, at this point.
Based
Because
on
you
what we
can
saw in that cloudy sort of game, it certainly feels like it.
Neeb could basically play this to any way he wants now. He could be aggressive. He could play the macro game. He'll just be ahead. It's 29 to 24. There's no third base even. Like, Elaser is in a very bad spot. He's going melee before speed.
May as well.
Which is not a terrible decision, but at the same time, you have to mine gas for so long with this build because you need 200 gas. So this is minerals that aren't being mined right now. Like, this is why he doesn't have a third. And melee is not great against this stuff. Like I said before, I love melee links, but they're terrible. They feel so bad. And the reason is, like, a Protoss sees that it's melee ling, and you know what they do? Like, all these gateways are dedicated to zealots now, and you feel really bad. And then you add on banelings, and they're like, well, now I've got force fields, so yeah. Takes quite a few banes to connect with zealots to actually have a good fight.
Yeah.
Look at this third base. 4 minutes and 47 seconds. You ever seen a later fourth third base?
Not too often.
He's still mining gas. Wonder why. Maybe baneling nest?
Yeah, I think so, actually.
100 gas already.
Well, you can't possibly think that just +1 lings are going to deal with everything. That's impossible. 2 more drones.
Yeah. Still nothing with the gas. I'm very interested here. Because a fast lair doesn't make much sense. I guess he kind of has to mine this gas because he's already fully saturated, maybe. Normally you probably want to take off if you're not going to invest in anything, which he's not doing right now. It's almost at 200 gas now. Normally if you have a faster third, you can just mine more minerals. That's just better. Okay, here's a lair. Still has 100 gas. I'm curious where we go with this. It's banelings, maybe banelings. Lingbane Hydra by the looks of it now. We're going to watch this just demolish him.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
He doesn't even go with Archons. He doesn't need to. This is enough force fields. This is why it feels so bad, because there's so many force fields here that even if he had banelings, he can just force field forever. These 2 spines, if they were done already, would do absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So
no, Laser's so far behind at this point. Yeah. Look at that. My God.
Yeah, the game is basically over.
Oh my God. Those force fields.
And this is why it's so bad to lose drones early on. Because it snowballs pretty poorly for the Zerg player if you lose that many drones.
Immortal Sentry is such an
exacting
thing to hold.
Exactly.
That as soon as you start taking any damage, because now, so far we've looked at. Hold on, I'm going to bring them up. But okay, so we saw the 2 probe games, which was kind of more of a macro Immortal Sentry push.
Yep.
With the +2, it had more transition opportunities. The Cloudy and the Neeb games were both adepts kill a ton. They do a ton after Zerg tries to get creative in the early game with the hatchery block in the SortOf game, and then which forces your Cybernex core quicker, which gets your adepts out so that you have 2 adepts before speed's done. Hard to hold, right? You can take that damage. We saw from a laser the 12 pool holds it perfectly. 2 adepts out again, kills 8 drones, and just when you take that much damage early on, this seems like such a clean finisher. Because we're looking at both these games, and it just looks like, at this level, after losing 8 drones to the first 2 adepts, you're dead.
There's basically nothing that Elaser could not have had anything possible to defend that. I think Neeb knows that. He's just like, what could you possibly have? Imagine that's all Roach Ravager, he's dead.
Yeah,
imagine he has Roach Ling Bane, he's dead. Imagine he has Ling Hydra, he's dead. Like, there's basically nothing. Because he has to build so many drones early on. There's basically nothing that he could have in that position that would be scary.
So the 4 games that we've seen so far, I mean, I think that they're interesting in a way that we aren't learning exactly what I was looking to learn, which is how to hold this, but we're finding as the build gets more exacted, if you take that early damage, you're going to die to it if that's the build that they're doing. Okay, you don't have a lot of comeback potential is what that seems like.
What I find interesting so far is the early games from Zerg players, because they feel really weird. Like, we have the hatch blocks, we have 12 pulls, we have like all these weird things going on right now. So yeah, I don't know why they're playing like this.
Okay, so yeah, Zergs just were kind of aggressive in general. It was kind of interesting to see. Maybe they're frustrated with it and want to see if they can mix it up early on to throw Protoss off a bit, maybe get that early lead. There were some rushes that ended up killing Protosses in the tournament.
Yeah, they don't. That Eco 12 pool, for example, what was the plan with it? You know, it just felt like it didn't really have any plan. Like it's got there and it's like, oh, he's got a zealot. What did you expect? Maybe if he doesn't scout at all, you have 6 slings, but
well, maybe if you stay on one gate and you don't send a depths out or something like that. I'm not sure.
Still feels okay though.
I mean,
as long as you don't lose a couple
laser and ask him.
Yeah, we could maybe.
So yeah, this is Goblin versus Lambo. The rest of the Immortal Century games that we have are all from Goblin. 2 games against Lambo and then 1 against Raynor.
This map feels not that good for Immortal Century either.
Well, we're going to see what he does to make that work, isn't it?
Look at basically what I was saying earlier. Like, there's no ramp here to defend on. It's just like a flat plane all the way through. It is a little bit smaller of a choke than, say, King's Cove or something, where, you know, like at that 4th base area.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely a lot smaller than that.
Yeah, it's still pretty big.
But that's in front of a 4th. This is in front of the natural /3rd.
Yeah. Okay. This map has interesting Overlord stuff, because Overlords can come into the main pretty quickly if they want to. Like, remember we were watching Sterile versus Terran players, and he would just like send the Overlord straight in and scout tech really quick. Stalker first. This is my personal favorite variant. So far. Goes to Overlord speed again. Basically identical build to the other game.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested now because this is...
Yeah. Because Lambo did the very cool Baneling Ravager play.
And he was so good at scouting too, so...
Look, by the way, it's Robo Twilight.
Yeah.
So
this already is more committed, right? Like no Forge Twilight really quick. This could be Adept Glaives. Like if you've watched Classic play, he does these Glaved Immortal Century builds sometimes that are really, really sick if players try to go Ravager Ling. Okay, it's Charge. Oh, I don't really like Charge that much, but I'm ready to be proven wrong.
Well, Goblin had quite a run this tournament, so we know he does well.
Whoops. We need to move these hotkeys. Where's V?
Just later on make a hotkey profile on my PC.
Yeah, so we've got full vision of everything, basically. Look at this. He even comes in and scouts 4 more gates. So there's zero doubt in Lambo's mind that this is super aggressive. Yeah, so I'm extremely interested
now. That he's scouted, I want to see the probe count, or the drone count. Okay, he's on 34. He has 8 making. Let's keep an eye if he goes more.
He's done. There's no way he builds more.
42? You think 42 is it?
He's definitely done. He's just waiting for his Roach Warren now. Oh, he's building another drone. This guy's living on the edge.
One spine. Where's the spine? Let's go check it out.
It's in the net.
Okay.
I like it. Look at how he's still so adamant about scouting, which is really nice. Like he's coming in, even though he's seen all this, still and just leaves an Overlord there. It's kind of nice because even if it warps in a Stalker or something to deal with it, that's something. All right. This is going to be very interesting if this just kills Lambo, because Lambo's had full vision of it.
Okay. Let's take a look as it starts. This is the exciting part right here. Is what are we working with? Because Lambo, like you said, he scouted magnificently this game. Yeah. He has his spine done. He stopped at 42 drones,
which is 10 drones higher than probes. So this is basically perfect so far.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have even cut 2 drones, but at that point you're not really gaining much.
15
maybe like a
roaches.
Roach.
He's got 4 queens total. Looks like only 3 are coming to battle. Where's the other one?
Main.
Okay, he's in the main.
That makes sense just in case, too, because if the prism goes up there or something.
Sure.
But
this is a very quick 2 Immortal push from Goblin with charge.
Is crazy quick.
Right?
Yeah,
he's got his charge done. This is cool. I'm excited. Oh, I'm getting chills. This is gonna be this is what I was looking for.
This is a push I'd expect that if you go Overlord speed, you would possibly die to.
Yes.
So
okay. That's really cool that you say that. Because he did go Overlord speed, right? Yeah. He
like when the first day we did this, I said that the problem with Overlord speed is sometimes you scout what you're dying to. You know.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to be able to react fast enough.
Well, Lambo's kind of nailing all the things that we were guessing about, right? Like he definitely didn't overdrone.
No.
He did not lose any early drones.
Yes.
Okay. He went into roaches immediately.
And
He saw
this
when
army
this was
comp is
moving.
basically perfect too.
Yes, and
Like-
he's engaging it out in a wider area. He's not waiting back here.
Yep.
He's not
He
down
has a
here.
spine
He's
crawler.
not up here. Right? This is about as wide as you can really hope for.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm excited. Let's see how Lambo does. Let's
So
put it on regular speed just to start, and then we can slow it if we need.
yeah, the only thing I can give credit to maybe he could have done better is if he had a wall. Right? Like he's not backing up right now. He's just like fighting straight up.
Yeah.
This is bad. This feels really bad already because we can just keep warping in zealots now.
Yeah.
And now once we're here, we can kill a lot of roaches that are popping. Yeah, this is already almost GG, I think.
Well, the replay is not much longer, so you are right.
Hey, this feels pretty bad for Lambo. Because Lambo had full vision of it. He had a spine. He had a bunch of his queens. Look at this madman. Warps in and puts the prism somewhere where he can pick up his immortals. Oh, he actually defends it, though, I think. It's so close, actually. It's so close. 15 drones die, though.
Okay. The only thing that I can think of right now.
Yeah, this is bad.
Okay, the only thing I can think is should he have pulled drones earlier, but it seems this game, so far out of every single game that we've watched, this comes the closest to showing us that there could be some sort of thing that needs to be patched.
Yeah,
I want to be really clear on this because we've gone over a hell of a lot of Immortal Century games so far.
I agree.
And we keep finding a ton of errors on the losing side. Here, this was very well executed by Goblin. He nailed it. But it seems, now we have to go over this. I'm not saying that this is imbalanced one way or the other, but it seems like Lambo did close to everything correctly here.
Right. No, I agree.
So what could he have done better?
The only thing that he could have done better is wall. Like, the only problem is that he doesn't really build very many structures.
Let's even check how much money he has. Like, I mean, he's making as many roaches as he wants. You don't want to skip roaches to make the wall, I don't think,
and you just
right?
need to buy time, right?
You do need to buy
if
some
this
time.
roach warren was here, but the problem is that you need to wait for the creep tumor, I think. Actually, no, maybe not. Roach warren here.
If you lose that warren, the game's over.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is coming in just a second. Let's watch. Here it comes. Okay. So he does not really have money for a wall, man. Like, he's got to make as many units as is possible.
I mean, he could have one more queen down here.
He could have one more queen, but the one more queen will not make him win this. Maybe the drone pull a little bit earlier, but I'm not 100% on that. Here, let's watch it slower. Let's look at the micro of it. Let's look at the charges where they hit. Let's look at everything.
Oh,
whoa. Okay. Here. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. All right, he's burrowing.
So already now we know that he's not going to have any force fields whatsoever, right?
Yes.
Do you think it's the right move to try and engage this as fast as possible, or do you think this is the right move to try and buy as much time as possible? There's two ways of doing this. There's a way of like snowballing and killing zealots immediately, and then like now he's trying to warp in while your army's getting bigger, or you buy as much time as physically possible and build as many roaches before you engage.
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's a really good question because as your roach count builds, those should scale better than the zealots.
And you don't need to rush in because there's no sentries.
Yeah,
so
he's
he
not
can't just
gaining
come in
value
and force field you.
with the zealots. Again, the roaches have range, the zealots don't, so they actually need surface area. So the bigger blob of roaches we have, the better you're going to do against just zealots. If there's sentries and stuff, that can mess up the math a bit more.
The math gets worse because then once the army is like, say, the army's here, then obviously you don't.
Now,
you know,
if you've backed up into this area, suddenly even the rally of the units from here, though.
Yeah, that's okay though.
This is a wider area.
We
to
just
engage.
like click here, click, and now our roaches don't come in.
Yeah, no, I get you.
It is a wider area, but is that a good thing when we're going Zealot Immortal anyways? I think it's not.
Oh, that's actually a really good point. If there are no sentries, you actually want the thinnest area possible.
This is what I'm saying. At this point, we know 0%. So let's say we take this army and we put it here. And now we've got drones. We're
Yeah,
not going to lose our hatch because if he focuses it, then we surround him.
Yes.
We move the spine back.
No, you're actually okay. This is really fascinating, and I think that you actually just really came upon something because the roaches do want a thinner area. What when we were talking about how you really want to avoid that and engage in a large area, my brain was stuck there because I'm so used to that. But there are no sentries. This is completely sentryless. This is a low gas, very quick push. You actually. You want this in a smaller choke.
Yep.
Like look at this army. If this was on the ramp, the Immortals are never going to die. You just kind of accept that. They're going to wreck roaches the entire time. What you're trying to do is eliminate the rest of the army so that the Immortals can't even sit there anymore. So just to make it clear in people's mind, imagine if all these roaches are on top of this ramp and then take those zealots and charge them up the ramp. Yeah, the roaches are going to trade much better on this ramp, right? Whereas down here, you're spread out while this is what you want against sentries. Against Zealots, they actually get more favorable pairings. They get better surface area.
Too, right? Because you see Goblin not even hesitate. He just jumps on it immediately.
Yeah. He pulls back for 1 second to get his warping round and then goes.
Yeah. I think even if this is here, we just hold position our drones and make kind of a concave. Like, it's so much better. Like, this is just too far forward, and we need to buy as much time as possible. The only reason we wouldn't do this is if we think that constant Zealot warpins will overrun us eventually. Because then we're trying to engage as soon as possible because we think if he keeps warping in Zealots, my army's going to get worse and worse. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that may or may not be Lambo's thought process behind this. Because you can see he's engaging right now.
As the numbers go up, the roaches do better against the Zealots. So that it's really important to mention that. And so I think you're right. He should have pulled back into a thinner area because there are no sentries. Everything else he did looks really fine, perfect to me. And if this was a sentry-based push, I would definitely say this is the area you want to engage in.
Yes, I agree.
But this is really quick because he's skipping sentries. He got charged. It's like a ground-pounding force. It's not a force that's going to whittle you down. It's either going to beat you or it's going to lose.
He actually knows this even sooner, right? Look at this. Overlord's been here with seeing that there's no guys on gas for. Let's see how long he actually known.
He's just not mining gas, man.
I'm curious how long he's known that there's been no guys on gas. Because, even now, once this Overlord flies in... Okay, right now, we know 100% that this is a Zealot Arc Immortal
But he doesn't know that there's no sentries, I think.
No, you do.
Right.
You do.
Do you?
You do.
You know that there's 0?
Maybe 1. But 1 sentry and 0 sentry is basically the same shit.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's Guardian Shield if it's 1 sentry anyways.
So I think at this point, I'm already ready to defend around here somewhere. Move my spine back here, move it somewhere here. He's not going to just focus this down. Like I said, if he focuses down, then we get some good trades on the Zealots, and the Zealots spread out like this. If he focuses just the Immortals and the Zealots go here,
this area,
it's all fine. The Hatchery taking damage is okay, as long as it doesn't just die.
I think that Goblin has some counterplay to this move that you're talking about, because he can come down here.
Yeah.
And if he comes down here with this whole army, he certainly will kill this. This will die.
Yeah.
So I think that there's counterplay. I don't think that this is a perfect fix for Lambo to crush this strategy, but certainly... pulling back into a tighter area and waiting for more, buying time for more roaches would have been better than the spread out attack here.
Honest, I don't know how bad it is if you lose this. It sucks, don't get me wrong, but the other alternative is just dying. And I think the tech is so bad here that if you hold off of, what you've got, it's not going to be easy for Goblin to come back.
Yeah. Okay, this was a really interesting one. We have 2 more Goblin games.
Okay, let's just watch the engage really quick on slow and see how, if we had any chance, really, with the Zerg army.
Okay, slow it down. Here we go. Okay, comes forward, backs up, waits for that charge.
Immortals are already fighting the roaches. Do you see that? Really He was targeting the roaches one by one. This is a nice thing to think, because if one roach is hitting, or one Immortal is attacking each, it's a little bit slower than just one-shotting roaches. You see that the roaches our Immortals are attacking the same roach. Okay, now he's attacking the spine crawler.
Gosh.
Yeah, I think he does hold if this is just further back.
Maybe. Again, I think that there's counterplay on both sides.
And honestly, even if he just goes straight here, that's buying time that you can potentially get a bigger roach army out.
Yeah, it seems like with this
right now,
yeah.
If we had drones here a little bit sooner, I think we can actually overpower this.
You think? It might. I mean, you have roaches coming up for flanks and stuff.
And also, we needed to save our queens. The queens need to be further back somewhere.
Yeah, the queens did get picked off by a group of charge lots very early on.
Yeah, it's hard to say because we either hold this or we just die.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's a very decisive push. It's just it measures your strength and.
See, now he's fighting where I think he should have fought initially. Look at how much less surface area there is
well,
even now.
it seems like he
and
figured
also,
this out right after the engagement started that he
yeah,
needed to do this.
like the drones in this area, like you're so much faster to pull them, right? So you can be more split second. Like I'm pulling my drones, I'm going back. I'm pulling my drones, I'm going back. Whereas out here, let's say we wanted to pull our drones, they have to travel all the way out here. It's basically over already. So 100% he should have fought somewhere around here, in back here somewhere. And he knows early enough on that he can do that. And the only reason why you wouldn't is look at how good the drones actually do, right?
They really do. They really do.
Like he can hold position here. Like that's what he's doing now, kinda. At this point, the game is already basically over.
Wow.
It's
so fascinating.
I think Goblin goes for the throat almost every time too.
Yeah, I believe he actually does.
So I don't like
we have 3 Goblin
it feels
games,
really
so
weird that we just go for the third and then back up because that's not really what this push is intended for. This push is intended for the neck.
Just comes and kills you.
Yeah.
That's all this push does.
Okay, this is interesting.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that like Lambo kind of nailed everything and then maybe engaged that slightly wrongly. And this continues to be so surprising how many different types of Immortal plays that there are. And how many different things you have to be ready to look at tiny things and be like, oh, he's not mining gas. Can he have sentries? No, it doesn't seem like he can. Like I have to engage this in completely the opposite way of a sentry-based Immortal push.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Also, Automaton has a really long rush distance, doesn't it? So it's kind of weird that you do this build on Automaton.
I don't know the exact time, but
isn't it? Maybe it's hard to wall on Automaton, though.
I think it's just a build that Goblin's very good at.
Does he do it more than once in the series?
Yes.
Okay.
He does exactly the same build in at least one more of these games.
Against Lambo?
I can't remember. We're about
if this
to
is
see,
against
though.
Lambo again. That's just a meme. You're like, oh, well, I killed you once.
So Kairos is going to be... this is game 3. Right after that one, Goblin played him again. Of course, it was 1-1 at that point.
Kairos might actually be a better map for the Zerg player if you do that build. And the reason is because you remember a ramp goes up into the third base? Like your ramp goes down. If you bring your roaches in, if he goes for the third, then you're fighting up a ramp for the Protoss. He can't just turn around and chase you. Like, for example, while the game starts, remember how you said, well, what if you just go straight to the third? First off, it's way harder to do that. Like, you either go all the way around or you walk straight through here, right? Once you're down here, you're not coming back up this ramp. That's not happening. Like, if he gives this base up, it's going to be really hard to come up this ramp. And your other opportunities just go all the way around. And at this point, he probably has enough roaches to deal with it. So this is even more of a commitment. Like, on Automaton, it's more likely you can just go and then come back. This map, you're not doing that because of how far the wraparound is. So, interesting.
Yeah. I hope it's exactly the same build.
Me too. Okay, it's just going straight for this base. This is the normal response to being pylon blocked. Other than just send a probe at or a drone at 13 to take your hatchery. Why do you think, and this is total just out of the blue question, why do you think we don't see more Nexus first?
Nexus first?
Yeah. Remember, back in the day, Nexus first used to be pretty common in ZVP? Like with a probe scout? Or maybe you didn't even probe scout. Actually, they didn't probe scout. You know what their thought process was? I'm going Nexus first, and if you're 12 pulling me, I'm leaving.
I think it's because of Ravagers, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but
because when you
Nexus,
went Nexus,
unless it's
we did have Cannon expand for a little bit.
Unless it's 12 pull Ravager. Yeah. Which in that case, I don't even know if it changes that much.
Well, no, I think that everyone stopped doing it when the Ravager came out, because we used to have some Nexus first Forge expands in this matchup, if I recall correctly, like back when Whirlwind was a map
long
and stuff.
Time ago, yeah.
Yeah, but I can't remember seeing Nexus first since then.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
No,
I feel like it's not that bad. Because nobody 12 pulls. It's just not a thing, except for Miko that one game.
Yeah. Okay, so
because Zerglings, Banelings, Roaches. This is why we don't talk to you, chat. Okay. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Okay, wait. So we already have a variation, right?
So
no Overlord speed. Yeah. This is just a really fast lair. This is the way I prefer to play if I play ZVZ or ZVP. This allows you to go Hydras. This allows you to go Roaches if you want, but Roach speed kind of less utilized. Like, the point is that your tech is nicer. This may even be a potential trying to meta Goblin. Because like I said, remember Overlord speed, you just scout what you're dying to when it's something that fast. You can basically scout this build pretty easily with this Overlord.
Okay.
So we'll see how this goes. Like you can scout these gases, you can scout the nexuses and how many probes he's building and that kind of stuff. So chrono already being used on something, like even that's a little bit of an intel. It's not a chrono on probes, but that's not that abnormal.
Lambo's got a great spread of Zerglings out there watching for anything flying out.
Yep. It's the same thing as SortOf did, right?
Yeah.
Did you see that? That was the potential fake in case the Overlord came in. Right? Like a lot of times your Overlord's
really
under attack, you just go in.
Totally.
Let's see Lambo's reaction. So he's basically
43.
the same.
Well, he hasn't started his spine yet, right? Or yeah, so he made 43 the last game right before the push, but one went into his spine.
Yeah, so this is basically the same. He hasn't been able to use his lair at all. And that's a good thing, right? Like having rush speed or having
no, it's not gonna help you
some
in
lair
time.
tech units.
Not for
The
this
funny
build,
thing
at
is,
least.
how does he know already? Has he seen something that we haven't? I want to watch his vision.
Okay.
Let's go back a bit. Because clearly he's not investing in his lair tech at all. He's already producing a ton of roaches.
Well, you saw the prism.
Yeah, Prism, like Pro built a Prism too, right? That
Yeah.
might have been interesting. Did you see that probe going this way? Let's go back for a second. Let's watch his vision.
Okay.
So we were sending our Overlord in. See that? Look at that probe.
Going to build the gas.
That's definitely a gas probe, right? At this point.
Yeah.
Okay, he just threw on double gas. Gets the scout on the double gas. Do you think he already knows it's a fake?
Yeah.
Because potentially that's a little bit suspicious. I don't actually know when the gas timing is, guys. But if he's just like throwing on the gases once your Overlord moves in, that's a pretty obvious fake if this is way off time.
Yeah.
I don't actually know if it is or isn't off time.
I think that Lambo probably nailed that. He probably
If
saw
it's
that
off
and realized.
time, that's really sus. And the Zerg player's like, no.
This would fake out a very good player, but not a very good Zerg player, but not someone as good
not
as
one of the
Lambo.
best, exactly.
Yeah.
So at this point, he's already producing roaches, and he's not producing drones. So at this point, you have to assume he already knows that this is a fake.
I would agree with that.
Another thing to note is he skipped Ling speed, which is
and he skipped Overlord speed.
if he dies this time, it's even more.
Okay, we just saw something coming.
You see an adept, yeah.
Okay, he lost a unit there.
And the Overseer's coming in, but he's only producing roaches.
Okay, here we go.
Wait.
Okay, need this pause. Let's take a look at everything. Okay, this push that's coming is so close to the exact same push. It's got like one more Stalker and one more Adept in it. 32
It's
probes to
basically
43 drones. He skipped the spine this game.
We should have took down how many roaches he had at the time.
It's the same amount.
13 roaches, the same?
Yeah. I'm 99% sure he had 13 roaches, 4 queens.
So it's basically the same thing,
It's
except
the
there's no
same
spine?
thing with no spine.
Huh.
Okay, and
But
push is
one
coming
thing to note
immediately.
already is this army is in a much better spot already compared to the last game where it was out here
Yeah, in
somewhere.
the previous one, he was way far out on Automaton.
Like this one, you can run up this ramp, you can run over here behind some chokes.
Let's see what he does with it.
8 roaches in production. You do want to buy as much time as possible here. The only thing I don't like is all those drones are down here, right? Like this is not very many drones to be a buffer, right? Like if all these drones are up here, you have 15 drones to use for hold position and buffers. It's way easier than 6.
Yeah, well, that was the first hatchery that he made,
Yeah,
right? So that is probably a big part of it.
Let's see how this engagement goes.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's coming out already a little bit. This is fine though. He's already posturing more defensively. I don't like how he does this. He always does this so far, where he like leaves his queens up and pulls his roaches back. It kind of makes sense. But
I think he wants the Immortals attacking the queens.
Yeah, but they're already
so
focusing
they're kind
this.
of
So it's just like we're kind of losing our queens.
It's true, but I think a lot of people, the Immortals, would attack the queens here and do less damage.
Possibly. I don't like it though. I think the queens just get sacrificed here, and they basically do nothing. Like they're buffering, I guess. Like they're body blocking the roaches, but I don't know if that's a good
roaches are
use.
much more microable than the queens, so I think in a lot of ways the roaches are more valuable.
Yeah, I agree, but like, doesn't not feel bad just to lose all your queens like this?
It feels like he's fighting much better this game, though.
He is.
Like the way he's microed back, he started more in a choke.
Okay, if he had those drones, like the 15 drones here, this is cleared. Look at how many drones. Like he can't pull 6. 6 are going to do nothing here. But if this was 15 and these roaches, it's a lot of roaches. These Immortals get trapped immediately. The game just probably ends. He's got a third base. He's got 3 gases. He has a lair already. So he could even throw down a Spire or something off the back of this.
Let's keep watching.
Okay, here comes the drones. But it's not that many. Does he pull drones from over here? No, he doesn't. Okay. Imagine this is 15 drones instead of 6.
Yeah, the 6 are dying off pretty quickly here.
They just do nothing, to be honest. I'm almost positive he would hold. I don't know how bad it would be for him. Like, I don't know if he loses all of his drones there. But
well, the first step is to live through the bush.
Yeah. This is interesting. It all came down to the... Yeah, look at all these drones are coming now. It's too late now, though. And they're coming into just the Zealots. What you want to do with your drones is trying to surround this stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a frustrating loss if you're a Lambo. And it kind of feels like it came down to drones not being here.
Which is, if he's losing because a probe blocked his hatchery and then he loses to a 5-minute, 30-second Immortal Push because of that.
It feels pretty bad. Yeah.
Because he was in a better spot. He microed from the get-go correctly. Instead of pushing out to meet, he pulled back to meet.
Yeah, it felt like this was much better played, but at the same time, unfortunate circumstances throughout the game kind of gave him less tools to be defensive. You know?
The last game that we have is Raynor beating Goblin.
Oh, nice.
So that is actually about as useful as we can get right now, is someone stopping Goblin. I hope it's the same exact push. I don't remember.
I mean, it should be. At this point, I would be using this every game.
Oh, yeah.
If I was Goblin.
2-0 Lambo, yeah. Use that against anybody.
Did he end up 2-0ing? Like, were these back-to-back?
Huh?
Was it a 2-0? Like, were these back-to-back replays?
He lost game 1, and then that was game 2 and 3 that we just watched.
That's funny.
So the last game that we have, Goblin versus Raynor in the round of 8.
7-minute replay. It's already not looking good. Oh, wait. He won, though.
He wins this one.
Okay, then it's looking great.
Raynor wins this
7
one.
minutes.
Raynor 3-0'd Goblin. Right? I'm not crazy.
Oh, is this the... Yeah, this is the group stage?
This is the round of 8.
Or the round of 8? Yeah, okay. Here we go. Does he do it 3 times?
I hope it's exactly the same build, because then we're really seeing what's going on.
Okay. Automaton. This is a good map, I think, for it. For defense. It's not a terrible map. I think it's probably pretty neutral. I'm very interested to see Raynor if he goes for Overlord speed or how he decides to scout this game.
Let's see.
So let's try and stick on what he's scouting and what he reacts to. I'm not even sure if he may or may not already know that Goblin tends to do this build at this point. Zerg players like to
this was like
stop each other from dying to the same thing over and over again.
This was, I think, 2 days. No, wait. Yeah, maybe it was 2 days after Goblin played Lambo, so I would imagine.
And I know Lambo and Raynor talk, so
yeah,
I'd be very surprised if he just like, nah, I don't know what he did. So at this point, it's already in the back of your mind if you're a Raynor. I would love to see if this was Raynor playing in the group stage, like the same group even, you know, where there's just like no time to react. Link speed on the way. How many guys on gas still? Let's just double check. 3? Okay. Probably going to be Overlord speed then. Let's see what these
Well, that makes it even more interesting if it is. Hey, a sentry is being made, so I think this is a slightly different push, right?
Is it Stalker Sentry? This is the same, no? As the other games?
Did
oh,
Goblin
you're right. Maybe he didn't make a sentry.
Yeah. So it is a little bit different. Which would be smart of him anyways.
It would
if he
be
knows
smart of him,
that Raynor should know what he's doing.
Yeah, if you show an Adept and a Stalker and no sentry, that's pretty sus.
Okay, so Overlord speed.
Look at that. I'm just too good. You can tell by the gas being mined where they're going to put it.
Yeah.
Because you need to have a really fast Overlord speed, but really you don't need anything that fast if you're not going Overlord speed. Like, you don't need a really fast layer or really fast upgrade or something you'd see in Evo. So this is basically all it can be, unless it's just a weird build. Okay, so we have Overlord speed. The Overlords are coming in.
Let's see, he only made 1 sentry, yeah?
Yep. Immortal. I don't know why the Immortals rallied there, but sure. Doesn't matter, I guess. I guess it's actually kind of nice if, for whatever reason, Raynor's going for like a 3-minute Nidus.
Okay, it's Glaives this game and not Charge.
I like it. I like Glaives.
Very, very different from what we saw already. It looks very, very the same, though.
It does.
Right now, if you're Raynor and you were told
about this,
what this is, I think right now you 100% think it's the same thing. You're like, yep, he's going Charge Immortal on me.
Yeah.
Did he send out a hallucination? Where's the sentry?
No, he didn't.
I want to just double check. Okay, it's in the wall, so I guess he could have seen that there's a sentry. But that's not the biggest change in the whole world.
Yeah, you can get the sentry even if you do the charge law version.
Yeah.
It's fine. Okay. Let's stay on Rainer's view.
Yeah.
He sees the sentry there for sure now. He's probably going to want to see the gates being added on, because still, even now, you're not 100%
He
sure
went
yet.
Baneling Nest, by the way, and he's making more queens. So it's a very different
like
thing. We saw the Roach Warren from Lambo.
Where did he saw the Twilight, right?
Did he? Pause it. Let's check. Just go over to the base. Yeah,
Okay.
he saw the Twilight.
All right, let's just keep watching. I'm interested. He's
Yeah.
he's perked my interest. This is how I like to deal with it, but I always get demolished, so I'm ready to see. Actually, now that you think about it, you look at oh, whoops.
It's coming in again.
You remember how few, like, he had no sentries and all those charge lots that would get absolutely demolished by Banelings.
Yeah.
I think
It seems
Roach
like
is
he's
just
countering it, but
incorrect
okay,
way
he
of
gets in
dealing with
here
it.
and there's gas mining, so that is a big difference.
Yep, that's a big difference.
But he doesn't have time to change what he's doing anyways.
Yeah, you're right. The worst thing this could be now is just a Mortal Sentry push, like a straight up normal Mortal Sentry push. That's the worst case scenario because, again,
But he
force
didn't
fields
take the
and
natural gases.
they don't need to. If you're mining off 2 gases in the main, you can go charge Immortal and just get sentries.
Yeah, if it was charged, you're right, yeah.
So many queens. I like the way he's dealing with this. How many drones can we check? Press the U.
Yeah.
45.
So 45, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I like
And
it.
he made his spine, so a few more. Okay, sees it coming. Should know everything now.
The only thing I'm surprised he's coming down here. Does he really already know where it's coming?
Yeah, he's Overlord just saw it coming, right?
Yeah, but this angle?
Yeah, if it's walking, no, I guess maybe not. But he's sending some units up towards the top a little bit.
I guess this is... Wow,
That's the better-
that's impressive.
Okay.
He's just a god. I don't
Okay,
know what
let's
to
see.
say.
Let's see what they both have at this point. All right.
Yeah, that
So
is a
this army,
dead army.
13 Adept, 3 Immortal, 1 Sentry, 1 Stalker.
You know what this army wants to kill?
28 Lings, 14 Banes.
This is the anti-Ravager Ling army. If you open Ravager Ling, you die. Because Glaives kill all of the Zerglings, and you shade forward, and then the Immortals are just doing their damage, and it basically, once the Lings are dead, the Ravagers are just toast. Imagine Glaive Adept shading on top, and the Immortals come in.
Yeah.
So this is the absolute best case scenario versus Ravager Ling. A lot of people are saying Ravager Ling is great against it. It's terrible against this.
Oh. God, it's so hard to figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah. If this is Charge Lot, you're in an amazing spot if you're Rainer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if this is Adept, you're in an amazing spot if it's Rainer. The only thing you're not in an amazing spot is, you remember Neeb's push against the laser? That push would destroy this.
Yeah.
Like, you coming in with like 9 sentries, this is not doing anything. All these Banelings are not doing anything. You can kill a base and leave if you want to. But at the same time, he probably already knows it's not 9 sentry. So this is an interesting.
But if it was
response.
charge lots, there could be a lot of force fields still.
It still could be, yeah. It could be like 7 sentries. And the thing about charge lots is, a lot of the time they'll charge in and split. And if you're force fielding Banes, it's not good. Not a good thing to have as a Zerg player. To be fair, if you're Goblin, this is actually still playable.
Yeah.
Like, Banelings are not amazing against Adepts if you split them well, and you can shade forward. So, like, basically the only thing he has here that's not Banelings is this amount of links. These links are really important. Because this army could totally clear these links by themselves. I like that he's not showing them, right? Like, these links are way off in the distance.
Yeah.
And you've never seen them if you're Goblin. So you may think that this is everything Raynor has to defend. And then as soon as you like shade and split, the links come in from a totally different angle. The Bane links splash down all the Adepts, and now you're just dead. So I bet you Raynor doesn't show these links until the Adepts shade in and split.
Gotcha.
Let's see. Okay, here comes the shade in. Just going to see Bane's going to split, I would think. Is he going... Okay, here comes the split.
He comes in the flank now.
Yeah,
Shade get
look at
canceled.
this. Look at... I love that he moves his queens forward like this. Look at
Yeah.
this. These queens are searching for the prism.
Yeah. Totally.
Prism isn't anywhere, killable. But if it is, the game just ends. And to be fair, if it isn't, the game just ends. So, look at that. Amazing defense.
Wow.
Still has 2 spines here too. So if for whatever reason there was some stray Adepts or something, he could have cleared them. You can just morph 5 more Banes, and now he can build. He's going to start building drones. I was going to say now he can build drones. So this game is basically over. Watch this. If these finish, the game's over. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, perfect. Flawless defense from Raynor.
Wow. But for my own brain's purposes, we need to go over something real quick here. Okay, I'm going to just jump onto this page and delete this because the amount of different counters, strategies, and counter strategies here, right? So Goblins, Adept, Emo, it counters the Ravager Ling, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now,
Goblins, Charge Lot, Immortal. It counters just Roach Queen. Counters Ling Queen, whatever you're doing. But just stick with Roach Queen because that's what we saw.
Okay, so hold on though. So Raynor's Ling Bane Queen beats Goblin builds. Just any Goblin builds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both Adept and Charge die to this.
Sentry
Immortal
Emo owns Raynor's Ling Bane Queen.
Also, what owns it is if you do like a timing, you know where you add on Templar and you go for like the Archon. You've seen Archon Immortal timings, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Archon Immortal timings literally will never die to this. So even if the Protoss player sees that it's Ling Bane, he doesn't need to commit. Like imagine a hallucination comes in and sees like no Roach Warren.
So here, click back on here then.
You can just deal with that. Alt tab.
Here, yeah. Okay, so probes. Did we just go all to lowercase? How did that happen?
No. Oh, it's just showing up lowercase, but in here it's not.
Weird. Anyways, okay, so probes macro emo beats Ling Bane.
Yeah, I would say it does. Definitely does,
Now,
actually. The only thing
hold
is
on.
you can add Hydras, but I think that still dies.
What about Lambo's Ravager
Roach Bane?
Ling?
Ravager Ling?
Wait, no, Ravager.
It was like pretty heavy
Roach
Bane.
Bane.
Too.
It was Roach Bane. Sorry, my brain is.
Roach Bane with a sprinkle of Ravagers, because you're gonna break force fields. This beats probes build. We got like, have you ever seen those detective shows where there's like a web of like strings going all over the place? You know?
Yeah.
That's basically what's going on right now.
Well, this is where it becomes. We've been talking about just how complicated this really can get.
Mm-hmm. And if you loop some of these around too, like probes macro Immortal beats like certain responses too. Like Ravager Link's probably not going to be great against probes macro response. Goblin's charge is going to dig out a lot of these other things too. It's weird to say, like when you look at these armies, but they all kind of counter each other too.
These aren't the only builds.
No, these are just the ones
there are
seen.
more ones. These are just the builds we went over today in general.
Mm-hmm.
We have to kind of discount some of the games, like the Neeb versus Laser and Cloudy versus SortOf. Both games, 8 drones were killed at the beginning. What are you doing?
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Let's put us here so
they
can see what we're doing.
Both of those games, right, were just finishing moves.
Mm-hmm.
And then Probe had the macro Immortal games, which are games where you don't necessarily need to have the attack to go off all the way. And then we had like these Goblin games where he switched it up,
right,
in kind of an interesting way. I felt like Lambo was nailing the hold, but was running into the wrong push for the hold.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the more we're looking at this, right, like sometimes we're seeing Overlord speed, sometimes we are not.
Right. Well, the thing is, if you're a Zerg player that's known to go Overlord speed, there's ways to punish that too.
Yeah.
So, like, going Overlord speed every game is probably not good. If we're playing, we kind of almost have to play it like poker, where you're like, a certain percentage of your games are played a certain way and a certain percent, like, you don't want to be predictable. You want to constantly change it up.
Yeah. You know, it's super important to change those things up. I'm trying to think of like the general ideas, the general rules you need as a Zerg player to live through this gigantic variety of different pushes that can come, and a lot of it feels based off of trying to get reads on exactly which one it is, which we're getting better at as you and I are watching more and more of these games. We're kind of figuring out like, okay, can you tell how many sentries there's going to be? There's a forge, so you know it's slowed down.
We can go into where a Rainer. The thing is, I can't tell if Rainer is just blind countering Goblin at this point either. Right? I was going to say, we can go deep dive in and say, when does the Overlord speed come in, and the reactions from both Lambo and Rainer, because they're both opposite, right? One of them goes, all right, I'm going to build a Roach Warren from what I scutted, and one of them says, all right, I'm going to build a Baneling Nest and Queens.
Lambo had to face this stuff first.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And then Rainer has more time to get ready for something like this.
Exactly. I can't tell if this is a blind counter or if this is Rainer's being like, okay, I see this and I'm going to do this. But I have a feeling that he planned to do what this was, regardless of, maybe if he didn't scout a Robo at all, maybe it was a Stargate or something, he'd be like, okay.
Oh, yeah, no, the game...
Even still, Ling Bane is fine.
Yeah.
So I really like the way he played, though. This is really cool stuff.
No, it certainly is. Like, it seems like it was a planned-out response that was made to destroy... the charge Immortal push, and then it was Adept Immortal, which was a switch up from Goblin, which was, that's cool that he switched it up and did something different. But it seemed like this just was a good enough counter against it already anyways.
Okay, let's look in other games from Rainer. But I like where this is going. I think that we kind of need to find a middle ground between both players. Like, I don't think we can go full-on Ling Bane, but we can't go full-on Roach either. If there was a way to get like 5 Banes and Roaches at the same time, then you'd probably be fine against everything. Like, for example, let's imagine we take Lambo's defense on this map against Goblin, and we add 5 Banelings, and it's still charge, right? Now you've got a proper zoning tool against the Zealots, right?
Yeah.
The Zealots can't just fly in and kill your Roaches.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
Let's say it's Adepts. Well, the Adepts can't just shade in on top of everything. They have to kind of spread out, and you splash them, and the Roaches clear them, right?
But as soon as you hit the sentry-based Immortal pushes with something like
then
that...
you're dead.
You're dead.
Yeah.
Right? So if you look at... Because we have more info from Lambo's games, right? Where I guess he was actually hitting the charge Immortal.
This push absolutely destroys those weird gateway pushes, by the way. You remember those weird stalker sentry stuff? Remember we were talking about it, they mix in a bad build so that sometimes the good builds work?
Yes.
That basically all of these responses kill that, so
yes. Everything kills that.
Yeah.
That build is just there to make you not be too greedy. Oh wait, that's not the window I wanted to look. Okay, hold on. So Lambo had 2 against Goblin and then the 1 against Probe. And he went Roach each time. Yeah, no, this is...
I think Lambo actually just prefers Roaches, I guess.
Well, I think in general it's a little bit safer because most of the pushes so far that we've seen have been sentry-based.
He almost held the Zealot push. I think it's possible to hold it with Roaches or something. It's the optimal choice. This is by far the optimal thing to do, I think, against these Zealot.
The Ling Bane, if they're skipping the sentries. But the thing is, you have to figure out if they're skipping the sentries. I don't know if you can do that without Overlord speed. I think it's partially map-dependent as well, where the guys
you commit pretty early with this stuff, right? Like, you commit for Roach Warrens and stuff very early on. Like, these gases, look at how late they are. They're being added at 7 minutes. 7. Do you remember when the Zerg players were getting their gases when they're going Roaches? Like, they were all done way before.
Yeah.
So this stuff is decided way before you know 100% it's Sentry or not.
Yeah.
That's why I tend to believe that this is kind of a metagame on Goblin. And that's nothing wrong with that. That's how you should be playing.
You're playing a tournament. Do it.
Yeah. All right, let's see what other games we've got from... Do we have any other games from Rainer against Goblin that are like this?
No. This was all... We went over every single Immortals
you want to jump into game 2 of this and see if Rainer is specifically looking for if he's going to do it again and that kind of stuff?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, we might
Let's
as well.
take a look.
I'm
and
just
see
curious
if he alters his path.
Yeah,
these will not be Immortal Push games, but
that's fine.
It's kind of interesting because Rainer really truly stomped the build that killed Lambo twice, and he's the one that stopped Goblin's run, right?
You know what I would do if I was Goblin in this game number 2? I feel like I would try to fake it as much as possible, maybe do like an Archon drop.
Okay.
So like you're kind of hinting that maybe you'll go for your Arc or your Adept
cancel.
thing, right? And you're showing a Twilight, you're showing all this stuff, right? And then you go Archon drop, and it's Ling Bane Queen, which is okay, but not the optimal thing again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's maybe
Well,
something
Archon drop is specifically good
it's
against
good
that.
against Ling Bane, yeah.
Okay, so that was game 2, by the way, between those two. That was round of 8, right?
Oh,
yes.
Wait, what was game 1?
That was. We're gonna check game 1. So
5 minutes? Okay, let's watch.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see it.
Game 1 was Proxy Hatch. Oh yeah, Raynor was telling me that it's actually Imba on this map.
That's right. Yeah, it's just like a spine push.
Yeah, you
we can
spine
just
push
jump in real quick and take a look. I guess. Yeah, it's Cyberforce. What is this? Is it that map?
Cyberforce, yeah. This is where like the gates and the stuff are like here. Look. So you build your hatchery like somewhere around here, and then you can spine the base up here.
Yeah, we'll just rush through to it.
You know, some Protosses haven't been building their gateways on the low ground. I always tell them they're really dumb, but against this would be really sick.
Yeah, maybe SOS had already thought of that.
And it's pretty. This is pretty bad. Actually, I think I remember this. I almost thought he was going to hold for a minute here.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny that that's a
This
cybernetic
force
core up
field
there,
was
by the
really
way.
bad.
Why is that a cyber core and not a gateway?
Because he's assuming his cyber core is going to die, I guess.
It's not, though.
Yeah, that's a little weird. If he had one more probe,
Feels like he needed
could have
to
just
finish the wall.
If he could have just finished the wall, yeah. Even now, go, go, go! Wall, 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 wall. We have minerals. Wall, build a. Like, I know you're dealing with stuff, but
comes with more experience as well.
Yeah, like building a gateway here would be so sick.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, he would have won if he built a gateway here. I think right now. Okay, let's look. We can pull probes to deal with this, right? We've got an Immortal. We've got a shield battery finishing now. There's a gateway here, right? These two spines were just sacrificed to the, Jesus. And then these probes clear up this Immortal, right? So
Jesus does love spine sacrifices, but yeah.
Like this would be a held game, I think. I remember watching this and saying it was pretty close, even without the wall.
Yeah, hit playable. Let's see.
I don't know why he doesn't just do it, even now. Raynor actually walls himself in, by the way. This is a wall.
That's funny.
Look
at That is funny.
He wants to get in. Huh. Maybe a gateway here wouldn't have changed much. It would have. I think it would have still. Yeah. Imagine there's a gateway here and these lings aren't just like jumping on top of them right now.
Maybe.
No maybe. There's no maybe here.
There's no maybe.
Gateway. Gateway here. You have to come through here? Yeah, 100% I think. It's a hold. It's close, but without that, like, he just gets a full wraparound on all the Immortals.
Okay. So that was a proxy hatch. That game, Raynor didn't even have to think about what Goblin wanted to do. We can jump into their game 3 and just check if he's looking for that same build from Goblin.
Yeah, he should have walled himself in. Interesting, though. I bet Goblin hasn't played that much at all. Who's better, Europe or Immortals? That's the question we're trying to figure out here.
Yeah, we are trying to figure it out. And I don't think that we've come to any sort of conclusion.
But for the thumbnail, we have Immortals. We're ready to start World War II. Or 3. I guess that already happened.
What blows my mind is that these builds that everyone is saying are so imbalanced and so powerful. Like, we're looking at them, and when they're coming out, they oftentimes look super strong, right? We're having a hard time trying to figure out exactly the perfect ways to counter these, and some of these guys are starting to come very close. But and sometimes they are getting the perfect counter, but to consistently get that perfect counter is hard. Which I don't think we'll ever see perfect consistency with that, and it would make the build go completely extinct. But to see it only 7 games out of 47
to be honest, the strength of
what is surprising.
The strength of this is not necessarily the units, but the variations, I feel. Like Immortal Sentry, if you knew exactly... What is this?
Is that a 12 pool?
Is it? I think it is. Why do people do this? It's either 12 or 13, but either way, that's the same thing.
It's a quick pull.
Does this look like 12 pull?
Oh, he's ready. He's got the same pile in there. He's not messing around.
I don't think he's ready.
Oh, he didn't chrono boost his.
Huh.
Hmm.
Well, I guess he's just dead. This is very bad. This is already basically done. It's what it needs to do.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
4 probes and the 5 links are still alive, so he can basically do whatever he wants. I don't know if there's much sense in doing this versus like someone like Goblin, where you're like, okay, like it makes sense in a series. I don't know if this makes sense against Goblin, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like as a series, it makes sense to throw something like this in, but I don't think Goblin's play has shown any weakness in this situation. You know?
Okay.
Like it's not like we've picked up on it. Oh yeah, he goes this. So look at that. That was sick. That was really, really bad for Raynor. Like, even in the best case, I still feel like it's pretty trash. Like, 23 drones to 19 probes.
Why did we see it so often in the tournament?
I don't know. Warp gate.
Like the fact that both the laser
the Europeans are like
it?
talking to each other. They're like, you know what's really sick right now? 12 pool. I'm like, really? 12 pool? 12 pool's sick? And like, yeah, let's go 12 pool. And then they start doing 12 pool. Like, wait, this shit's trash. Like, after the tournament, and you never see it again.
Maybe.
The Europeans are like one little hive mind going on over there.
That's how Zerg's supposed to be played.
Yeah, and Warp Gate was like really late for no real reason. He had the money to do it. So far, though, 28 to 25. Third base is later than Lasers, but he's not going Evo first. I don't feel like Goblin's in a bad position whatsoever. I would break out the charge out of Mortal again, honestly.
Or they got so countered.
Maybe I would do Neeb's Immortal Sentry thing. Okay, going Stargate. I don't actually like Stargate in this position because generally they're going to be building in a decent amount of queens anyways. And plus you're not
Stargate
really
in general
okay,
doesn't
double
do much
Stargate
anymore.
makes more sense. Double Stargate makes more sense.
Yeah.
Let's throw out whatever I just said because this is not the same thing as one Stargate.
Yeah.
They could not be further apart. So Phoenix is...
He is getting Overlord speed though.
Yeah, that's bad. I'm interested now. This game is going to be interesting. This is totally on the side note, by the way, from the Immortal Sentry games that we're playing. We're just seeing how they play it out differently. So what does Raynor know? Raynor doesn't really know anything. If this was an Immortal Sentry game...
Well, he got his Overlord
speed.
Okay, here it comes. Took him a while to get up there.
This is not bad for Goblin, actually. 46 drones to 44. He had to build some units just in case it was Immortal Sentry, right? I think at this point he already knows it's probably a Stargate. It's pretty suspicious, you know? Okay, there's the Phoenix. He's trying to hide it. Look at, he just immediately cancels a bunch of his units. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
He had a bunch of roaches in production. He canceled like 3 of them.
Nice.
So he wasn't 100% sure. He was playing like a half safe, half a greedy kind of thing.
He canceled his +1 air and then restarted it.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe he thought he could
I
hide
wonder
it.
if he did this off the cuff or something.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, maybe it was a hide thing.
I really, really, really like Goblin's position. So I'm interested to see how this goes poorly.
Well, I think it's probably going to be the Nidus.
Yeah. Also, weird spot to put it. Like, Phoenix has basically almost scouted it. Like, that's, yeah.
Well, they're more likely to come in the back anyways, so I think statistically that's a good spot.
Maybe, but you want to clear Overlords too, and that's where Overlords will be misrallied and stuff. I don't know. It's only 4 queens. Okay. What do we see? I like that. That makes so much more sense than anything else.
Can't pull anything for that.
Yeah. This is almost like a... Actually, this was cool. This is actually more like not a all-in Nidus, but more like an aggressive Nidus. Like, you're using this to kill the third base, but it's not an all-in. Really, it's not.
No, it seems
like,
fine.
he's building... He can build drones behind this, and he's almost
he's playing against Phoenix anyway, so he's not going to die.
I like this.
Yeah, it looks like 100% kill on the base.
Yeah, certainly, right? Like, even if you're all your...
even if all your Phoenixes are sitting there,
he's focusing on his macro. Yeah, like, you'll kill the queens, but... Okay, he's going a bit more for the throat than I would. I would just go for the guaranteed base kill here. I like the spore.
Yeah, no, you may as well poke the front. Your opponent has spent all their money on Phoenixes.
Oh my god, is he just going to die?
Well, it lasts 4 more minutes, so no, but...
Okay, this is good for Goblin, obviously. Did lose quite a few of his units already, though. Like, the few ground units he had, he lost. I like the wall immediately from Goblin. You can almost throw down another Nidus. Like, this is when you throw down a Nidus behind the wall, because there's no units on the other side, basically. This is a little scary though from Raynor, because if he loses all of this, he did get the Nexus though, so he's kind of.
But it is just Stargate units. Like he can.
Yeah, but
I
if you
feel
lose
like
your
he
entire
can just
army and
recover
lose the
from here.
momentum. Stargate units are scary, my dude. I think you underestimate them. In the long run, this is scary for you. If you don't just kill him here, is what I'm saying. Because these Stargates can become carriers or whatever you want later on.
Well,
and all the Phoenix count isn't being lowered right now.
Carriers against Zerg?
Yes,
Thanks
you
for
can
the
do whatever
tip,
you
bro.
want. That's my point. My point is the Phoenix count is not being lowered at all. So if you lose everything, it's not going to be fun. I don't know if enough damage has even been done yet. The problem is there's no energy here. Yeah, so he can't end up. It actually goes on for a lot more longer than I'd expect.
Kind of do want to see the ending here.
Yeah.
Is it non-stop?
Looks like it's nonstop. Still producing Roach Queen. You know, if he had any amount of Immortals too, this would be really bad. But I guess we know he's not going Immortal. Yeah, this game's basically over now, I think. We've probably done enough damage. 22 workers killed. These Spore Callers have paid for themselves like a million times over.
Yeah.
Again, I still feel like this is a really tight decision from Raynor, right? Like this can spiral out of control, out of your favor very quickly. The only thing is he's already up 2 games in the series right now. So going for this is not a bad call. Because even if he loses this game, I think he has to be feeling pretty confident going into the next one.
Yeah.
Now you see he's producing drones.
Well, he did so much damage. That's just
Still, look at the supplies.
massive.
They're pretty close. Yeah,
11 probes.
that's the problem, right?
6 Void Rays, though.
Yeah, this could spiral out of control for if there was more drones or probes here. This
Yeah,
is
I
not
mean,
that
if he
bad.
did less damage, then maybe. But even with that many Void Rays, it feels like you will just eventually be held.
Yeah, the game's over for sure. Interesting, very interesting. I don't think we got much information that we were looking for out of it.
No.
I don't mind Goblin's decision to go double Stargate Phoenix. It makes a little bit of sense considering how he's played so far in the tournament. I think it's a good like secret kind of like gotcha build, where like if you're not expecting it, it can do a ton of damage. And I liked Raynor's response.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that was an interesting dive into WCS and the way that the European Zergs are playing against Immortals. I feel like we've definitely learned some things, and I think that
we have a lot of questions still.
Yeah, the reactions, even the ones that did not end up working, were much more precise than what we saw for the beginning of the reemergence of this during GSL. If you compare the reactions, for instance, of the games that Lambo lost, right? I think that those are definitely more exact. Like the counts of drones, the scouting, this like what he's looking for with the scouting and nailing the timings for going in for those. Some of the very interesting things were like the different ways to micro, trying to figure out the amount of sentries.
I think the different battles, like cat and mouse with multiple builds.
Yeah,
I think that's interesting.
The
I think
fact
that's
that we're
part
having
of the strength of it. So
yeah, some of these builds where it's like the banelings will crush it, but if there's sentries, you get crushed, and it's like, oh my god, there's so much that you have to look for.
It's true.
And
also like the probe counts, the gas counts, like third base, no third base, upgrades, no upgrades. Like there's so many different things that require so many different responses. And yeah, now I feel like I have more questions than I began, but at the same time, I feel like we also understand it more than we did before.
Yes.
Before we were just like, question mark, how the fuck,
well,
how does this work? You know?
That's something that shows you that you're actually learning. The more you know about something, the more you realize you don't know. And that is a real fact. That's why sometimes you'll see someone in the Twitch chat and they're like telling you like, should have gone Storm instead of Colossus or whatever. And it's like, yeah, you really don't know anything.
You're right.
But
so far, I feel like Raynor's probably got the best understanding of so far. It felt like his reaction was really decisive.
It
but
felt like a blind counter in some ways.
Exactly, but at the same time, it felt like a blind counter. I would love to see if it was Raynor versus Probe, then Raynor versus, Goblin, and then Raynor versus Cloudy, maybe.
I would have liked to see more Immortal Pushes with the stink everyone gives about them. Why was there only 7 of 47 games?
Well, I do feel that Europe is a little bit slower on this trend than Korea. I think if this was Korea, my prediction for the amount of games would have been higher, like above 50%.
Yeah, we are going to have one more episode on Immortals after Season 2 of GSL finishes. We're going to look at the Immortal Push one more time, see how the Koreans have dealt with it. because I think statistically already the Immortal Push percentage is way higher in Korea than what we're seeing from the WCS event.
Yes, I would
And
agree.
the style of player actually fits that better anyways because Koreans are very focused on execution, much more than foreigners are. Foreigners are more broad strategy.
I think this will all 3 episodes will couple well together. Because the first episode was like, oh my god, this is a thing. The second episode was like, okay, this is how we react to this thing. And then the third episode is like, okay, now this is like the difference between Korea and Europe, right? And the amount of games being played should exponentially just keep going up, I feel, as we go on. I feel like this is my prediction on Immortal Centuries.
Okay.
We start out here where like nobody's doing it, and SOS does it once, and then we're like, okay, this is pretty good. We're up to like 25% or whatever, and then it just goes way up, and we're like, okay, we're up to like 90% doing it now, and then everybody's like, you know what, this stuff's garbage again, and they go back down, and then we go back to like nothing.
I think you're probably right about
Less
that.
pushes, maybe. Like we might still see robo openings, but I bet it would be more like the third base and more like probe style than aggressive.
Well,
style.
that one has more flexibility to it, and a sharp timing will come out, and it will. If it is too strong, it'll eventually get nerfed. If it isn't too strong, it'll get figured out. And I think that we've already seen that start to happen a little bit, like Ragnarok's game. But yeah, something like what Probe did has that potential to do all sorts of things, where it's like.
Yeah, if it's like if it feels more well-rounded, it feels something like a better player would use in the long run because it's more viable than just doing a push every game. Like we saw Goblin get shut down so hard, and that's what I expect to happen more and more with the certain players having certain Immortal Pushes to their play style more. We'll have to see how it develops. I'm very interested. That's just my prediction that it's going to be like a curve where we go up and then go back down on aggressive pushes specifically.
That's pretty normal for any aggressive build.
It is. It is. Like when you remember 2Xs when they were broken out, it was like that too. Like a couple people were 2Xing, like, oh, this is a thing. And then it went like way up again. And we're like, oh my god, everybody's 2Xing. And then it went back down again once the Overlord started scouting better and people started opening pool first and stuff. So
that's very true.
That's just an example. Reapers were like this as well. Remember when literally everybody and their mother was doing the Cannon Rush shield battery robo thing for like a week and then it went away? Like this kind of happens with a lot of these builds that you kind of need to figure out.
Yeah.
But I think that concludes our at least analysis portion of the episode.
Yeah. It was really cool to see what the Europeans are doing and whatnot, but not enough games in my opinion. I would have liked like 10 more games to go over. Oh well, that's what we've got. We are going to answer a couple Patreon questions that we have on here, guys. If you're in the chat, you can do like !in-depth to find our link to the Discord. Please join up the Discord. We're working on it, and we want you guys in there and chit-chat to us.
There's been some nice conversations. I've been observing some of the conversations that you guys are having back and forth, and they're very interesting, and keep it up.
We appreciate the feedback as well. I've been trying to read the feedback everywhere that it's posted, not just on the Discord, but in the Discord it will definitely get read and sometimes replied to.
Right.
So we appreciate that. For people that think that the show is too long, I saw a lot of complaints about that because last episode was very, very long, but people are saying that we should boil it down. The thing is, we're not trying to teach like one specific point. Right. This isn't like a guys go 42 drones. That's like if you're looking for hacks to get good at StarCraft, that's not what we're doing. We're actually trying to get good at StarCraft. We're actually trying to learn, and it takes a long time and a lot of effort to do that.
The way it is with us, I don't know if we don't really premeditate what we're doing. Sometimes we don't even plan our topic until the day of, and I'd say that's probably the majority of it. Yeah. We're actually just like sitting down and we have hypotheses, we have guesses, and that comes from a lot of games and a lot of play. But mostly we're just like looking at it, giving our own opinion, and just kind of watching StarCraft. Like this isn't like a boiled down premeditated video where we're like, oh, this is a thing, this is how you beat it. It's more like this might be a thing, this is how we think we might beat it, and it's like all happening right now, you know. And I think it's just an organic and totally different thing than let's say Lambo's defense builds or whatever, or Probe's, you know, Probe does some analytical stuff too. Cats does this stuff. It's just different.
So thank you guys for watching the show and supporting all that. Please do check out the Discord again. You can use the chat command.
Also, we have a Patreon.
Yes, and the Patreon, patreon.com/indepthsc2. We really appreciate you guys for supporting that. And we actually have like channels in here for the supporters and whatnot to check out. Okay, so we have a couple questions from Knight Lieutenant Fields. Balance the game in 5 words or less.
That's extremely hard. I was thinking about it because I saw it.
I got it.
Okay.
Learn to play, get good. The game generally balances itself as you get better. As we can see, there's been no patch. The Immortal Pushes, some of them are getting held, some of them aren't. It's more than before.
I would say something similar but different, like play more games. Play more games on maps. I don't know, something like that. Like, I think it's similar to what you're saying, though. Like, you just need to play a ton to actually... Like, I don't think anything here is so imbalanced that we can't beat it, right?
Certainly. Cyril won the tournament, okay? He's the best player, and everyone knows, and he won, and that's how that's supposed to go. And Special's playing really well, and he got second. Wait a minute. Rayner's a top 8 foreigner, and he was up there, and so is Neeb, and he was up there.
What about GSL, though? There's an awful lot of Protosses over there.
We're going to have to go over that, because maybe there is something to that. But maybe the styles of Europe help them in this way, or maybe that hinders the Protosses of Europe in this way.
Yeah, I'm curious. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
I think the third episode hopefully will bring all of our... I kind of feel like we're doing like a Game of Thrones done right, where like we all have questions right now. We're all like, ready for the next episode, and then we're going to bring it all in instead of just like not doing that. So hopefully, we'll see what happens. If you could have a 2v2v2 in Archon mode, which 2 pros would you pick to represent each race? That's a good question. Interesting question. I feel like TY would have to be in there.
Yes.
And maybe like maybe Maru. Yeah, that's what I think.
For sure.
TY Maru makes sense.
Yeah.
Zerg players, I would like the opposites. Dark and like Cyril or something like that. Someone aggressive that can bring in some of that stuff, but also someone who's just
Dark
solid.
And Rogue, man.
Dark or Rogue, sure.
Dark and Rogue would be like insane.
Dark and Rogue would be good. I feel like Cyril is just like a little bit better of Rogue, just in some extent.
Yeah, no.
If we completely take out obviously language barriers and stuff, because obviously you would always pick a Korean with a Korean, but it would be Rogue or Cyril. I think with Dark would be great, or Impact or someone like that. Protosses, Stats and Haas.
Yes.
We figured it out.
Stats and Haas or Stats and SOS, I think, are both
Stats and SOS, yeah. Okay.
Those are...
We figured it out.
If you could give stats, if you could just randomize stats into more cheesing, I swear to God, no one would ever stop him.
That'd be great.
Okay, and from Bombjin, do you guys recommend any arcade games to help with micro multitasking, etc.? I have never played an arcade game in StarCraft.
There are games that help you with multitasking and stuff. I never use them, and I don't know of any pro gamers that truly do. But I feel like in theory it makes sense, right? Like you sit down and you practice long periods of micro, and that should help your micro. But I think in practice it's actually less effective than you think, because all the situations are different. You're also multitasking your production, your macro, your creep spread, all this other stuff or whatever.
In Brood War, there are maps like that, and pros played like that all the time, like especially Zergs with their Mutalisk micro. Eon Zerg every day opens up playing maps like this where he's practicing multitasking or micromanagement, stuff like that. So
I think those things are more important in Brood War than in StarCraft 2, though, as well.
I think that no one trains StarCraft 2 quite correctly, and I think that we could get stuff like that would be very good. And I don't
think
know
it's
exactly
bad, by
what
the way.
it is.
I'm not saying that it's bad.
Deliberate
I'm just saying that
practice is like a real thing, and we don't have it figured out in StarCraft 2. They were closer in StarCraft 1 with it.
I think we were closer to it back in the Kespa days, too.
Yes. It's gotten further away.
It's gotten further away, exactly.
Yeah. The deliberate practice aspect has gotten further away.
And I honestly think that's why some of our games don't feel as good as they used to, like back in the day. Like a lot of things were broken out that would shock everyone. We'd be like, holy cow. And it happens sometimes still, but it used to happen so much more. We had snipers for certain races. We had people picked to snipe other people. Like all these things were so interesting, so dynamic, and so well thought out back then. They had coaches. Like everything was just so much more refined for the Korean side back then.
Don't be misinformed. The players are better now.
Yeah, they are 100%. That's not my point.
There's not a question with that. It's just the way that things were done. Different tournament formats, different formats for people living their lives and practicing actually result in vastly different ways.
I think honestly, this is why there was a huge foreigner Korean gap back then. Was that those aspects? Like they were practicing so much better. They were playing way more games, and they were being more efficient with their practice compared to the foreigners. There was no foreign team. There was no foreign coaches. There was no foreign team league that played each other against each other and stuff. Like Koreans were always really dominant at the beginning, and as we've gotten further and further away from the Kespa days, it's gotten further and further even. You know. And if we had a foreign pro league, maybe it wouldn't have been so different. But who knows?
Well, I think Koreans have a certain amount of work ethic
That's
and
true.
a different view culturally on the way to improve in a lot of.
But at the same time, you look at someone like Special, and he plays like 14 hours a day or whatever, and there's not much more that Koreans can do. It's not like they're gonna play like 18 hours.
Oh
and
no, yeah, and that at that point it's actually already excessive, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't even know why we're talking about this because it's totally off topic. But hey,
well, that's
interesting.
how it goes sometimes. Yeah.
All right.
I think that's about it.
Yeah. If you guys have any quick questions in the chat, we can also pull those for a little bit. But I think we're basically done our episode.
Yeah, it's been a good day. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah.
I guess that's about it until in depth next week, right?
Yeah.
Guys, join the Discord. Check out the
Give
Patreon.
us money too. We love money.
We appreciate each and every one of you.
Yeah, we love you all.
Thank you.
You guys are beautiful.
Yes. All right, I think we did it.
Yeah.
See you guys later.
Bye-bye.